All right, we got sound.
Howdy ho.
Merry meet weirdos. Welcome to Fight Night. Tonight, the Supes are gonna battle it out. I'm your host, Gory Movie, and with me is my very sexy co-host.
I'm Danny Knightmare.
McSexy Pants.
I'm wearing an umbrella because Alice from Resident Evil will be fighting tonight.
And I've got Carrie.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
It's funny because it's like making fun of Barbie, but it also looks like Ariel.
Why not? Why not? I like Ariel too.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who's in the gory hole today. We got Tatum Dawn. We got Mr. Flickster. My brother Zigma. Jim the Hopper. Joseph. Okay, damn it. Jim the Joseph Hopper video vlog guy. Yes! Axon 5150. Nice to see Katie from Popping the Popcorn. Have Cheetah Will View. Hashtag Team Old Dude Vampire. And Blucka Blucka. Nice to see you here, buddy.
Blucka Blucka.
Blucka Blucka Blucka.
So.
I'm excited. So Becky is not here because she got some tummy troubles. So what do we do when one of our own is hurting?
Care Bear stare.
All right. Step one. You reach down. You pull up your shirt to expose the full power of your belly. You point your belly to the sky, roughly to the Pacific Northwest, if you can. If you can't, that's cool. And just beam all of your healing energy towards Becky, because we don't want her to have tummy trouble. So 1, 2, 3.
T-Virus activate.
I felt that, dude. I felt that. She's going to feel better. I can tell. All right. Hey, Mommy Been Movies here? Oh, here. My mom likes your hair. Or our mom likes your hair.
Thanks, Mom.
Hey, Maverick Media's here. What's up? Maverick Media says you're handsome too. And Echo Saro.
Aw, thanks.
You are handsome. You're the better looking one. Cool.
No. We're drinking Dayfall tonight.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
I use my Alexa Bliss thing because she has powers, right?
I don't know, does she?
No, she used to. I don't know if she
So, I did my homework. I am ready. I feel actually really prepared tonight.
Cool.
Feel really prepared. Let me guys know if you guys can hear everything okay, because I'm always worried about that. But I think we're good. Hobbs Horror's here. What up? Okay, are you ready? So I did some research, because this first one, I'll admit, is one I'm not super familiar with outside of the Wes Craven movie, and I think I saw one episode of the Derek Mears show. But, you know, Swamp Thing. Was that our child?
I think LOLZ went for a walk or something.
Yeah, I think LOLZ escaped. Oh well, he's fine. Just be careful if you're out there, people.
Yeah.
So, Swamp Thing, I did some research. You can fill in for me. He's a thing from the swamp, is mostly what I gathered from my research. But check this out. He can inhabit and control all plant matter. So basically, when he died, because he was this chemist guy, when he died, his consciousness went into the green, which is like the
Earth, basically.
Composite consciousness of like everything in nature. So they all kind of share an essence, and that's where he goes. So he can teleport from one plant-made body to another one across the world or under the ocean, because he's not actually attached to any one body. He's attached to the greater green. Am I getting this right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like Mother Nature, but not a mother.
Yeah. He can construct as many bodies as he wants for himself out of plants, but he does more than one. They're all kind of going to share a hive mind. They're not independently able to think for themselves. He can possess humans. He can grow to immense size. He can grow to the size of a mountain. He wants to use the power of some redwoods to grow to the size of an office. He's highly intelligent. He can shapeshift, so if he wants some wings, he's gonna grow some wings. If he wants to have like super tough tree armor, he's gonna grow that. He can grow whatever he wants. One time he turned into a ball, like to help his buddy win a fight.
One time he condensed himself into a seed, and this one goddess form was like basically gonna wipe out the entire existence of the entire universe, but Zatanna used her magic to make him sprout inside of that being, and he recreated the whole universe. Now granted, that wouldn't help him in this fight because he had Zatanna's help, but it's still impressive. He recreated the whole universe.
It's pretty impressive. You know what's impressive is Now It's Dark is here. What up?
What up?
Let's see, what else can he do? What else can he do? He can see through plants. And I don't mean that the plants are transparent to him. I mean, like, there's a tree way over there. He can look from that tree's point of view. So he can do some peeping if he wants. But he won't do that because he's a good guy. Hey, Becky's here. Becky, oh, good. You saw our Care Bear star. I'm so happy. We love you, and we hope you feel better.
Keep it clean.
Let's see. He's self-sustaining, so he doesn't need to, like, find outside food or anything.
He's also friends with Adrian Barboa, and that's an awesome plus in the horror world.
I'm jealous. I'm very jealous. Also, he has these orange tubers he can grow, and he can poof them to make people hallucinate, like trip some serious balls.
The first movie was directed by Wes Craven. The second movie, he's starred by Derek Mears, so he's very into horror.
Well, no, the second movie doesn't have Derek Mears. Derek Mears is in the TV show.
That's what I meant, the new show.
Yeah, the TV show sadly only lasted one season, but I heard great things about it. I think it's just one of those things might have been poorly marketed or something.
The other movie had a spin-off TV show too.
Yeah, Return of Swamp Thing, and then there was a TV show back in like the 90s.
Yeah, that was like a spin-off of the movie,
you know what's
but less budget. I meant the newest adaptation. Sorry, not movie, TV show.
I see Hobbs is talking about, or not Hobbs, Joseph, the Hopper video vlog guy, is talking about The Exorcist. I'm excited for that new Exorcist reboot, dude. I'm excited for that. Dun 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 dun. And he's got superhuman strength. This guy can like pull trees like redwoods out of the ground, just like it's nothing. Like I pull a weed.
His weaknesses, though, I guess, toxic waste, fire, anything that damages nature, to pretty much, and he just can't usually be bothered. That is one of his biggest weaknesses. Is he usually gives no shits about what the humans have going on. Very rarely will he intervene and help out the Justice League or whatever.
Like One Punch Man.
Yeah, they don't do it very often because he just doesn't care enough. In the Batman and Harley Quinn animated movie, they like summon him at the end, and then he just goes, I don't want to do anything.
Also, anything that weakens the green. So if there's a massive forest fire or any kind of massive ecological event, like an oil spill, anything that's going to hurt Mother Nature in a major way is going to weaken him because he is connected to the nature of the universe. Yeah. Of the world. Hey, what up? Torchbearer's here. Dun, 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 dun. All right, what did he say? I got home from Everfree Northwest, the My Little Pony Con. That's cool. Maybe you should have sent Danny there to defend Twilight Sparkle as the best. That's a good idea. Actually, Danny is like not a full brony, but like a good half brony. Like he loves ponies.
I like the one show.
Okay, you love that show though.
But I don't like all the shows.
You know how people have their chicken soup movie or show? Like I love old black and white movies when I'm sick. But Danny, if he's really stressed or upset, he'll love him some ponies.
Yeah, I like their show. Now they do the DC superhero girls. I like that too.
You're in a safe space right now.
Same people do that show.
Joseph Hall says Swamp Thing is apathetic Captain Planet.
Death Battle, it's funny because we're doing like a Fight Night Death Battle type thing now. Death Battle is actually what got me to even give that show a shot because I think Rainbow Dash won a Death Battle, and we were watching
that with Pinkie Pie.
No, it was Rainbow Dash versus Transformer. Later on, they had Pinkie Pie versus Deadpool. But yeah, the Rainbow Dash beat a Transformer on there, and we were just like laughing at that. And our son liked it too, and he was really little at the time, so he started watching the show. I started watching it with him because I was going through some stuff. Just PTSD.
And it helped you, didn't it?
Yeah, it helped me.
So there you go. No shame. There is no shame here. I watched the original when I was a wee child.
But
My
I
mommy
like
said
Star
she watches
Trek. I wouldn't
Jaws.
call myself a Trekkie. I like that show. I wouldn't call myself a bro.
It's fine. You can be a brony, and that's okay.
If anything, I'd be whatever a dumb name is for Ninja Turtles, but thankfully they didn't make a dumb name for that.
You know what? Some people like that name, so maybe you just lay off.
Yeah, I should probably lay off.
All right.
Shellhead, that's what I'd be.
Now, let's get ready to rumble. Who is our next opponent?
Well, he comes from Tromaville. He was a total nerd wearing a tutu because
Melvin.
a woman told him, you should wear this tutu. It really gets her going. And for some reason, these guys love to do drugs.
I love a man in a tutu, just saying. I love a woman in a tutu.
But she hangs out with a bad crowd. She likes to do drugs with her friends. They like to run over little children and call it for points. They love to drink and smoke while they work out at the gym. And one day they play a prank on old Melvin and push him out the window and he lands into some toxic waste.
In fairness, Melvin was being a perv.
He was. I'm not saying he wasn't, but, you know, nobody was likable in the situation.
Well, not many people are likable in Tromaville.
No.
Just saying.
No.
I'm more of a full moon gal. I'm biased.
But anyways, the toxic waste, they thought, you know, it lit him on fire and he went screaming and everybody thought he was dead and that's why his tutu's all burned up. But no, it gave him superpowers. Don't roll around in toxic waste, kids. It will not give you superpowers. It will probably kill you instantly or give you cancer at the very least. But yes, anyways, Toxic Avenger, he has a talking mop. He's got a bunch of friends. They can't help him in this fight, but they
The
even
Crusaders.
they got their own cartoon going. They even had a run in Marvel.
How did a character in a movie that has like rape and toxic waste and all these horrible things and lots of swearing get his own kids cartoon?
The same thing you just said applies to RoboCop.
Oh, I know. I don't understand it.
But anyways, yeah, he's great. He's got a mop.
In modern day, that would be like the Conjuring universe getting a cartoon.
He basically pisses battery acid. He's got radioactive blood, just like Spider-Man. I don't know how his blind girlfriend hasn't died of cancer yet.
He gets two of them because he gets a new one in the second movie.
Yeah.
Who's also blind.
Yeah, that's his type.
That's his type. The in the third movie, they get her like a surgery so she can see again.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he knows how to sumo wrestle. He's actually, we found out recently doing some research that he is a legit pro wrestler that's canon and...
He is a legit pro wrestler. So I found this out today. So there is a wrestler in America that goes by Toxic Avenger, dresses up as Toxie with the tutu and everything, and he got the seal of approval from Lloyd Kaufman, so it is canon.
Yeah, he was even there for one of the events.
Mm-hmm. He's been there for a few of them.
Managing
So Toxie's really strong. He can lift a bus. He's a pretty tough dude. He has superhuman endurance. He's nigh invulnerable. There's one poster where just like a ton of people are shooting at him and he's yawning. Bullets and that kind of thing don't really affect him much. He's pretty much invulnerable to injury. He does have his own like Toxie sense.
He senses evil.
He has these things called traumatons that give him the ability to sense evil and danger. It's like his sixth sense. He pees acid, which is cool. And in addition to being a pro wrestler, he also went over to Japan and learned a little bit of sumo wrestling.
He did. He even fought ninjas. He's fought all vicious gangs. He's fought a bunch. He even fought the devil, I believe. He's pretty badass, and yeah, he senses like evil. He killed this old lady, and then he felt bad about it because he didn't know why he killed her.
But she was bad.
But then they did some research, and yeah, she was like a Nazi who helped kill people in the Holocaust.
She was the head of that baddies gang in part 2. Or the first one.
Yeah, she's an old lady.
Yeah, she was evil.
No, he just like kills her at the dry cleaning. Like you don't even know why until later, and then finds out that she was just like this Nazi.
But she was also in charge of the bad group that was running the town.
Yeah.
She was like their shredder.
But at first he felt bad about it because even he didn't know why he killed her. Just that she set off his like evil sense. But it made sense later.
Yeah, dude. His weaknesses. He is vulnerable to anti-traumatons. A guy tries to inject him with that stuff in the second movie. Doesn't really ever happen, though. He can't hold a normal job. He is a failed babysitter and a few other... He tried to get a few other 9-to-5s that didn't work out for him. He's very soft-hearted. Like when he found out that he killed the old lady, when he killed the old lady, he felt so bad he kind of went into retirement. So he's pretty vulnerable to that. He becomes an egomaniac in the second one and becomes so full of himself that he turns back into Melvin and loses his powers.
Yeah.
He's forgetful. One time he forgot his passport when he's trying to go overseas. He's way too trusting. He's been manipulated by people posing as his therapist and various other people. And he's prone to being manipulated. And
people with comparable, like, strength and stuff can, kick the crap out of him. He can do it, obviously, back, but he's not completely invulnerable to pain. It just takes a lot to hurt him.
He's pretty much invulnerable to most things that would, like, hurt regular people.
Yeah.
But he can be hurt. It's going to take a lot more. His pain tolerance kind of through the roof.
You got to be basically on his level.
All right, so now that we've presented both of these fighters, Swamp Thing versus Toxic Avenger, give it to me. Who's it going to be?
Well, I think they're going to fight, and Toxic Avenger's blood is, like I said, very chemical-based. His piss is like battery acid.
His fluids are kind of like toxic waste.
Yeah, he basically has toxic waste in his veins. I think he's going to hurt Swamp Thing pretty bad in this fight. But Swamp Thing can always just shed his coil, and get a different body. And overall, it's just not enough toxic waste for him to take out Swamp Thing. I think he's going to hurt him. It's going to be a slow kind of fight. Swamp Thing's probably going to lose one of his bodies doing it. But it's going to be a sacrifice that he's just going to eventually wear Toxic down. He's going to take damage doing it, but he's going to it's just not enough to beat him, I don't think.
I'm pretty much on the same side as you here. I looked to see if there's any instance of Toxie shooting toxic waste. If he could do that, I think if it was enough toxic waste, he could win in a fight. But as of yet, he's never done that. There is a remake in the works. If that happens, then we might have to have a rematch. But right now, it's just in his blood and he can pee acid. That's not going to be enough to hurt Swamp Thing, who can easily teleport to another body. He's, especially if they're outside, he can see from multiple trees and stuff. Also, that danger sense, the danger sense might kick in, but the evil sense won't kick in for Swamp Thing because Swamp Thing's not evil.
Yeah.
So, I think overall, Swamp Thing is just a little bit more powerful. He can also make himself massively huge, so it would be really hard for Toxie to really hurt him.
Because he would do some damage, it just ain't gonna be enough. There's not enough. He doesn't have enough power. Doesn't have enough blood or piss in him to really, dissolve Swamp Thing to nothingness. It wouldn't be easy for Swamp Thing. Like, it would be he'd put up a struggle, but just overall, I think Swamp Thing's got this.
All right, so you can vote now for who you want to win. I'm gonna go vote. Dun, 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 dun. This is the song I'm singing while I'm getting over to the voting.
Yeah, I like that
really
song.
Entertaining song. All right, I'm gonna vote for Swamp Thing. Who'd you vote for?
Like I said, I'm going with Swamp Thing. I just think in the long haul of this fight, he comes out victorious.
Glorious.
I will be there.
I just watched a movie called Glorious about a killer glory hole.
Yeah. Now, you see, if they put Toxic Avenger in, like, an Injustice game, I think he'd be an effective fighter against Swamp Thing. But, like, putting all their stuff together, I just see Swamp Thing winning this.
All right, I'm going to check in with the chat. As soon as I'm done reading your comments, we are going to call the vote, and whoever is ahead is the winner. Okay, dun-dun-dun-dun. Becky is unfortunately home with a upset tummy, not with Michael Myers, hopefully. She's not babysitting, so I don't see why he'd bother her. And we're not in Haddonfield. Toxic Crusaders, they're gross, but they still get girls. Yeah, dude, because they got powers. Chicks love powers.
I like how his, like, blind girlfriend and wife always has, like, perfect makeup, and she's all dolled up. Like, she's very skillful. That's her power.
Actually, I've been able to do my makeup without a mirror before. I think, and I've seen a girl who's blind on YouTube. So,
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm impressed.
If it makes her feel good, that's all that matters.
I'm impressed is all I'm saying.
I'm impressed too. Dun-dun-dun. Really need to watch the second movie. Mom would never let me watch Toxic Avenger. I had to sneak, and then I understood why. That movie is crazy. It's one of those ones I think was a little too crazy for me in my younger years, but I've grown to appreciate it a bit more. Traumatics for life. I know my girl Ariel loves trauma. He fought an evil version of himself. This is true. I definitely watched
Citizen Toxie.
all of The Exorcist until the new movie comes out in Regal. The Exorcist TV show was pretty good too, so check that out. Thank you, Tatum, for mentioning the Patreon. I think we're going to do a Discord chat on Patreon here soon. I hope Halloween Ends is a good movie. Dude, me too.
Ariel, if you haven't seen Citizen Toxie Part 4, Corey Feldman's in that.
Ariel loves Corey Feldman.
That's why I'm telling her.
Yeah, she knows too, dude.
All right.
Hobbs gives the seal of approval to Citizen Toxie. Trauma movies got me through puberty. That's pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah. They help you.
I think a lot of...
they helped me with that, too.
A lot of vampire movies, like Interview with the Vampire, Lost Boys, Fright Night, that got me through puberty. And The Craft. But, you know, I don't limit myself to a lot of things.
Lloyd Kaufman just has that type of sleaze that really goes to teenage boys, though. I mean... Plus, you know, that's how wrestling was, too, when I was at that age. I'm just like, bra and panty matches.
I like Trauma. I'm just more of a full moon gal.
I am, too. But I still like Trauma. Like I said, when I was a teenager, I really liked Trauma, and for reasons.
Better just use the movie Swamp Thing. There's no way Toxie takes the comic book version, but Toxie also has comics and a cartoon.
Yeah.
But I still think that Swamp Thing wins.
I do, too. Even if we're just going off of, like, the movies and stuff. It's, like I said, it's close.
Hobbs says, if you like Trauma, check out Sergeant Kabuki Man and Fatty Drives the Bus.
I love Sergeant Kabuki Man.
I do like Sergeant Kabuki Man.
He also is friends with Toxic Avenger.
I'm also a big fan, as far as Trauma goes, I like the Class of Nukem High movies.
And I want to do a shout out, since we're talking about Full Moon and Trauma right here. Our friends at Screaming Soup had a cool, their whole season 3, I believe, season 3 or 4, where it was Trauma versus Full Moon. Like, that was the whole season, and Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man are big key players in that, so go check out the Screaming Soup.
And if you check out my recommended channels on my channel page, I have a whole playlist. It's got Danny's channel, it's got Horror Addicts, and Screaming Soup, since that is one of my favorite channels.
Yep.
Sandy says she can't watch The Exorcist. Don't like seeing thumbnails. Don't even like when people say a title a lot when talking about the movie. Yeah, The Exorcist, when I was a kid, just seeing pictures of Reagan, and like my mom would get those catalogs where you'd order movies from, and every so often you'd catch a picture from The Exorcist. That used to scare the shit out of me. The makeup in The Exorcist, I think, to date, is some of the best I've ever seen, where just her face is enough to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's like how Zelda from Pet Sematary just...
Again, yeah, phenomenal makeup where just the look of her is enough to make me want to pee myself. Mm-hmm. Like when I get a little backed up, I just look at pictures of them both. That's why we have pictures of them all over our bathroom.
Definitely where the first Pet Sematary movie, like, just succeeds compared to anything else. Like, even in the book, Zelda sounds kind of weird and creepy, but in the movie, Zelda was like, oh shit. Just, that was like the scariest part.
Zelda scares me. John Lancy narrated a brony documentary perfect for bronies and Trekkies alike. Well, I think our friend Torchbearer needs to check that out. Swamp Thing, you are amazing. You fight everything nasty. Are we still getting to Castiel? I don't remember if he's in here anywhere, but maybe. Toxic Avenger once used a water gun to shoot toxic waste.
There you go.
Would that be enough?
A water gun?
I don't think it would be enough.
I don't think it'd be enough. It would do damage.
I mean, the amount of... It would do damage. And I think he absolutely could do damage. And Swamp Thing would have to be careful on how he takes him down, because he wouldn't want him to bleed or fluid on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think a water gun would be enough. I think it would have to be like a pretty big, like a massive stream, like a vat of toxic waste.
I mean, I don't think
And even that, I don't know if it could kill him. It'd have to be a shit ton. Because he's connected to the Greater Green.
But I do think it's a close fight, and that's why they're starting off against each other, because... We want it that way, so if you... I mean, there's really no wrong answer. We know
awesome! Tatum, send me a picture of that shirt when you get it. Yeah! Morbid Heart Designs is here. My friend Angela! I still need to post that pictures from Crypticon. I took so many pictures in Crypticon, I didn't post them all. I'll do that soon. I love Angela. Her art is incredible. By the way, that picture, the art you did of Daria that I got from my friend, she loves it and put it on her wall, and it looks amazing. I love Daria so much.
Yeah, it was a great show.
I hope they make another Black Phone movie.
Yeah.
The one movie that got Ariel through puberty was Chasers from 1994. What about Evil Toons? All the boobs, Ariel. Come on.
A dog liked him. Cartoon dog. I expected him to, like, at one point do the duck hunting.
Linda Blair, she is a fox. Definitely gonna have to go with Danielle Harris, though. Like, I just love her. We need them boats. I love Reagan. Yeah, actually, her cosplay of Reagan was so impressive that Elvira, Cassandra Peterson, tracked her down because she wanted a picture.
Saw her in the hallway and she's like, I need a picture with you.
Yeah, it was amazing. Creepy Clean is just amazing. Becky has amazing makeup skills.
Yes.
Yeah, she did. Angela was awesome. All right, it's time. I said I'd call it when I was done catching up with the chat. It is time. Swamp Thing. Dun, dun, dun. Swamp Thing. You're the winner.
You're winner.
You are winner.
You are winner. You are winner.
That's such an obscure reference.
I know.
Okay, so Swamp Thing is going in, pardon me, to the next round.
Got the hiccups? You know, like, I could see Toxic Avenger winning the fight. It's just he's the underdog. If they fought 100 times, I think Swamp Thing would probably win 75 of them. Like, that's pretty much what the total was there on the percentage there, and that's pretty much how I feel.
All right, I think we're going to have a lot more to argue about in this next one, because I feel like on this last one, we were kind of on the same page. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Alice. Now, you know, I get a little feather flustered when people say that genuinely, like, well-written characters, like our newest one, the protagonist from Prey, people will throw around the term Mary Sue, and she absolutely wasn't. She had a lot of things to overcome. She was a great, complicated character.
There's been a lot of final girls who are Mary Sue.
And honestly, I hate how so many male characters escape that title. Like,
there's some male Mary Sues out there.
There are so many that
I don't know
do
what you
not
would
have...
call them, but yeah.
Yeah, because there isn't a term, because they're dudes. And their penis makes them impervious to limiting titles.
Main characters in movies, books, and video games, a lot of them are that way because they want everybody to slightly relate to them and not be, like, too far away. So they're very Mary Sue, so they're pretty much just your standard empty person to be.
Someone who I think kind of fits that, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I haven't watched a lot of these movies more than once, is Alice. It does help that her husband writes and directs these movies, and I think it's really sweet that he wants her to be this cool, badass character and everything, but beyond the first few movies, there's not a whole lot of dimension there, but
the movies themselves.
It's gonna help her out in this battle, because she doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses.
Now, I love the games a lot more than I love these movies because they're not much like the games. But the Alice character, I do actually, she grew on me. I do like her. I just, you know, I wish the movies were still more about the games and these were called something different than Resident Evil, I guess. But I do like them. And she always will get that badass pass for me ever since Multipass. She has a Multipass just because, you know, the Fifth Element was amazing. So ever since that, she can be whatever badass she wants.
So let me break this down for you. Let's see. She's got superhuman, and so we're gonna go with Alice. Alice has had various incarnations. She's not as strong as she is. She's not her full peak in the first movie. But around movie 3, 4, she is like full peak. Has a pretty massive amount of powers. Considering who she's going against, today, we're going to go with her at her height, because she's going against a pretty formidable opponent.
Between, like, 3 and 4 is, like, her top. Like, right there.
Male Mary Sue names, I'm going to go with, Mary Chad? Does that work? Just
Martin... Sam. I don't know.
Mary Martin?
Mary. No, you gotta have two, like, first names. One's gotta be an M. And then
Charming Chad?
Charming Chad. Is it Mary as in, like, Mary or Mary Sue?
It's Mary as in
like
Mary
Bobby
from
Joe.
Gilligan's Island.
I always thought it was like Bobby Joe. Like, it's just two first names. Mary Sue.
I don't know, all right? We're moving past it. Everyone always says Chads are, like, the best, so I figured a Chad would be...
They're like jocks who are good at stuff, I guess, in the women. But
Okay.
they're assholes, usually.
Billy Joe. I like that, Mav. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Billy
she
Joe.
has, at her height of her powers, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman agility. She, like, kicks off that wall and kicks that dog and is badass. Superhuman stamina and endurance. She has a genius-level intellect. Even in the first movie, she can think about as fast as a computer. She has regenerative immortality. She is a martial arts master. She has weapons expertise. She is a master of, like, all these different kinds of guns.
Top assassin.
Including, like, big, heavy guns. She's a swordswoman, master of firearms. She can project telekinesis. So she projects these telekinetic waves. So, like, at one point, she's able to take the flame from a flamethrower and redirect it with her telekinesis. The craziest one is where the guards are looking at her through cameras, and she's able to see them through the monitor and just kill them with her brain. No real explanation for that. I think it's just an aspect of her TK. And she has limited psychic abilities, so sometimes she can like tap into what people are thinking and what's gonna happen.
She's like a ninja Jean Grey, like kind of not maybe her powers on telekinesis aren't straight up there with Jean Grey, like a Jean Grey light on those powers, but like Black Widow meets Jean Grey because she definitely has like Black Widow abilities. Like she is great at martial arts, hand-to-hand combat. They don't straight up say it, but if you watch them, she knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's for sure.
Joseph wants to know if she's a master of unlocking.
No, that's Jill Valentine, and it'll always be Jill Valentine, who unlocked my teenage heart at one point.
Bitch is going down.
Lucky she ain't in here, right?
Yeah. So she's not without her weaknesses, so they're pretty lame compared to her strengths. She is prone to being knocked out and captured when it's convenient for the plot.
Yeah, tranquilized or just
when it's
overcome.
Convenient for
Gets
the
into
plot.
a helicopter crash and is knocked out from it. That type of thing.
Her telekinetic abilities cause her head pain and sometimes unconsciousness.
The end of 3, she's defeated like a tyrant and she has a whole naked army of clones of herself and she's at her peak of her powers. However, sadly, within like 10 minutes of 4, they go in and storm Umbrella and they kill almost everybody in there, but Wesker, as soon as she gets to him, he just injects her and takes away her powers. She gets most of them back, I guess, at the end of the series. But
Wesker ends up injecting her again because he needs her help.
Well, yeah, but he uses the kind that he has, which just makes him like all Matrixy.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're using her at the height of her powers.
I know, I'm just saying at the height of her powers, she lost them pretty quick.
Okay, hipster. Danny, the horror hipster.
We have to say their weaknesses, right?
Yeah, but those weaknesses don't come to play here because she got her full powers.
Exactly, and with her full powers, she was a little overconfident and she lost them really quick. That is one of her weaknesses.
All right, Danny, hit me with that Brandon Breyer.
Well, Brandon Breyer is basically Homelander, just as the teenage phase, like going into his preteens.
His strength is that his last name means ice cream.
Breyer's ice cream. But he'll melt you, not the other way around. He's got laser vision. He has... Okay, if Alice has super strength, then he has, like, almost godlike strength. She could probably kick down a giant, thick wooden door. He could punch down a steel metal door. He is a little quicker than her. He can fly like crazy. He's
like
fast.
crazy?
Yeah, he grabbed a moving lawnmower and then just chucked it. It didn't hurt his hand at all. He's basically Superman if he was a sociopath, and that's discovered his powers and said, you know what? I want to see it all burn. He can pick up a truck and drop it. He can fly up and grab a airplane and use that to disguise his killings. Just make a plane crash into the house that he destroyed. He can fly through buildings like it's make a mouse jumping through Swiss cheese. Yeah, he's pretty OP.
He can also just levitate or levitate other things. Mm-hmm. He has heat vision, so he's got freaking lasers that beam out of his eyes. He's got some telekinetic abilities, like he's able to fly open the doors and stuff. He has superhuman strength and speed. He's pretty much invulnerable. Bullets and things like that don't do anything to him. He's bullet and blade proof. He has a psychic link to the spaceship that he came to Earth on, so he knows exactly where it is, and it does kind of call to him, which is kind of how he finds his abilities. And electrical devices short out when he uses his power, and to a degree he can control that.
It almost like Goku, it seems like he was sent to Earth to destroy it and take over for his race. It does seem it's implied that he has a bit of a hive mind with his race, and they are basically sending the signal, kill, conquer, take over, we're coming eventually.
They sent him there to do that.
Exactly. Like I said, that's what Goku was technically sent here to Earth to do. He just bonked his head and forgot about it. But Brandon, yeah, it seems like his only real weakness that we've ever been shown is the metal from his ship is sharp enough to cut his skin. His dad shot him point blank.
It's not even that it's sharpened, it's just the only thing that can hurt him.
The only...
So even if it wasn't that sharp, it's still a blade, a really sharp blade can't cut his skin, but even it just being dull enough to nick him, that would work.
Yeah,
his ship is the only thing that can harm him.
It's his kryptonite that we know of yet, unless they make a follow-up and tell us otherwise.
I imagine you can make a mallet out of the metal from that ship, and then that would knock him off his ass.
It's his kryptonite. It's made out of animanium or some shit, I don't know. But his dad shot him point blank in the back of the head with a rifle, and it just pissed him off.
It just made him mad.
Yeah.
Hey, Dino's here.
So
say hi.
Hi, Dino. How you do? Late horror show, people. Great stuff to listen to.
Yeah.
He's got those killer radio shows.
I love it. All right, so.
Plus he has that creepy but lovable little Danny Devil.
Danny Devil? I think he's sexy. I think all Dannys are sexy.
You know how I feel about Muppets. But
I love Muppets.
I do say he always
What
does
did
a
I
great
do?
job at the Oscars. So.
Uh-oh. I think I broke it.
Yeah, you probably did. That's your weakness.
Oops.
Breaking things.
Who would win? Okay, so it's Alice versus Brandon. All right, so who do you think would win?
Brandon.
Why?
I feel like Alice has a lot of abilities that are gonna confuse him at first, but overall, it's just gonna amuse him to the point where he eventually loses his amusement, and he's just going to fly at her so fast that it rips her in half, like literally.
Here's the thing. Alice is pretty freaking strong. I don't know if she's quite Superman strong, but I do think if he uses those laser beams on her, she can use her telekinesis and blast them away. And to a degree, she can probably, if he's flying at her, I think she can blast him away with her telekinesis.
Maybe. I never...
His best bet, I think, would be going at her on the ground and fighting her one-on-one. She is a better fighter, but he's a lot stronger than her. I think that would be better for him than actually flying at her, because then she can use her telekinesis. But she's also really fucking smart, like computer level smart. So I think she could pretty easily figure out that ship's gonna damage him, and at least try to get at him. It would be hard. His mom tries it in the movie. However, I think ultimately his strengths are pretty OP. So I probably would lean to him, but I think it's going to be a really close fight. And I think about half the time she could win, because all she has to do is get that ship. Whereas, like with her, she's actually died before and come back.
But he always knows where his ship is, so I don't think it's going to be getting it as that easy. The reason why his mom even almost came close to stabbing him with a piece of the ship is because he was raised human, and I think he tried for her to be human. But once he killed her, there's no more humanity in him.
It would be really hard to get close enough to him to stab him, and he did love his mom.
He tried, I think, as hardest as he could.
Then again, though, what teenage boy wouldn't love Alice?
Yeah, well.
Right?
Some teenage boys aren't into that.
Whatever, Dan.
But
he would be.
Maybe.
He would be.
He is a bit of creepy horn dog. If
yeah,
you've
dude.
seen his movie. I don't know. I just don't think she quite has enough in it to take him on.
I think it would be a close fight.
I think she would be able to, survive for a little while.
All right, well, check this out. Alice is in the lead.
Yeah, she might be. I'm not saying she can't win the vote. Anybody can win the vote.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to look at Alice again. See, she's got a lot more weapon skills, and she's a lot more intelligent.
But those weapons won't be ineffective on him.
They won't be, but, I mean, she's all agile and shit. She can, jump off a building.
And she's never moved as fast as he's done. She's never done any much, strength-wise.
She's pretty fast, dude.
Not as fast as him. He's a blur when he moves. She's never been fast as that.
You're, way obsessed with this teenage boy.
He can't even go the speed of sound. Or she can't even go the speed of sound. She's fast for a human. It's like Superman and Captain America in a race.
She's superhuman, dude.
Like Captain America and Superman in a race.
All she has to do is get a part of the ship. So if she got theoretically, she got a part of the ship and she used her telekinesis to, throw it at him, she could kill him.
It'd have to be a sharp part. I mean, she could hurt him with a blunt part, but I don't think it'd kill him.
She's pretty much invulnerable, too, so how's he gonna kill her?
She gets shot and stabbed. She's not impervious to those type of things. Things bite her and scratch her and throw her around all the time. She bleeds
At the height of her power, she's...
Even at the height of power, she's all beat up and bruised and bloody. She fights that tyrant, and it kicks her ass for the most part.
She kicked Nemesis' ass.
Yeah, but the tyrant in part 3, at her height, beat her ass for a while. She ended up killing it, but... with the help of one of her naked clones.
Fine. I'm going with Brandon, but I think you're being way too hard on Alice.
I like Alice. I like her more.
Right. It doesn't sound like you do. It sounds like you're playing favorites.
No.
All right. I'm going to check in with the chat. And when we're done checking in with the chat, we're going to call the vote. Right now it's tied. So get your votes in. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So Morbid Heart says, it depends on the environment. I think in some situations Brandon wins, and others it's Alice. It's a hard call. I agree. And Sandy says there's nothing Alice can't do. She's like pretty great, dude. These two are worthy competitors. Sandy knows what's up. Here you go. Alice would use his strengths against him. See, that's the thing. I think Alice is really, really smart, and I think she could figure that out. I think she's a lot smarter than Brandon.
I give her that, but...
And she can think a lot faster than Brandon. Brandon's also... He thinks with his emotions, and that's where he gets in trouble. Sometimes it makes him kill people because he's angry at them, and other times it makes him vulnerable, like when his mom almost kills him.
He's got some hormone issues, but he actually is very intelligent.
He's intelligent, yes, but he does make most of his decisions with his heart over his head.
He's already top of his class, and even the girl that he ends up being a creep to, she tells him, hey, don't worry, geniuses will inherit the earth, because she knows that he's, like, really smart.
You're all about this Brandon kid.
Saying he's not an idiot.
Brandon disintegrates her on sight. I think
so.
she can use the telekinesis to blast that heat wave away.
I don't think she's fast
Let's
enough.
go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Okay, can Alice fly? She cannot, Mom, and that's a very good point. But I do think, because she has that ability to move things in the air, like with telekinesis, that if he's in the air, he's more vulnerable to getting just whopped aside.
But she's not that fast with doing that stuff. She has to really concentrate to move stuff.
Kal-El says she's one of the top 5 badass chicks. So what do you think of that? He is Superman. So
yeah, he basically is Superman.
Kal-El is Superman though, like not even basically. Hunted by Horror says, I think with all the Alice clones, it ended up like Neo versus Agent Smith fight. Unfortunately, she cannot use her clones. But if she had her clones, like it'd be no contest.
Maybe. She lost to Wesker
You
with her
are
clones.
so obsessed with this
Wesker beat her
kid.
even with her clones.
That's because Wesker's also OP. Okay, so... Wait, did I vote?
But his powers are different. He's more like these Matrixy powers.
All right, so Brandon won, and I voted for him too. I just think you're dismissing Alice a little too easy there.
I'm sad
A little
to see
too
her
easy.
lose.
A little bit, Dan. It's probably because she's a girl. No, I'm kidding.
It's just like, I don't know, Superman versus Black Widow with a little bit of
So Brandon's
TK.
going to go against Swamp Thing. That should be interesting.
That should be. That's a lot more...
My nose is running. Okay.
I don't even want to think about it right now because I don't know who would win. We'll get to it.
That's a lot. I actually didn't think it beyond the first round.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm really excited to talk about our next opponent, who is Aaron Boone, who is dead freaking sexy.
Oh, he's dead all right.
He looks exactly like early first, second season Angel. Like, I used to have the biggest crush on Craig Schaefer in this movie. Like, in this movie, not only he goes on to be like One Tree Hill and all this stuff, but
you know, with the tribal face tattoos.
Oh yeah, dude. It's like
Which
the
normally
whole,
wouldn't look good on
whole
somebody.
reason I like Mike Tyson too.
Didn't hurt, that's for sure.
Definitely didn't hurt.
He's got talking pigeon. Why isn't he on here?
Yeah, Brightburn Brandon, Kal-El. So anyway, we're talking about Aaron Boone now, who is in Nightbreed. I haven't read all the comics, so this is based on what I have read, and obviously the movie. I wish we had more to draw from, because he's just a cool character, cool universe, cool story, one of the best Clive Barkers there are. I got the hiccups. So his strengths are he's immortal. He's already died and come back. So he has like a resting period after he's killed, but he'll come back. He has superhuman strength and agility. He has regenerative healing. He's a shapeshifter, so he changes into like this form, and in this form, as like his Cabal form, he's like uber all of his abilities. He's even stronger. He has superhuman senses, so he can smell very well. He has excellent eyesight and hearing. Very charismatic. He's a leader, and they think of him as like some prophesied like savior of their people.
He's kind of the Jesus of the underground mutant people.
A little bit. Or Neo.
Yeah.
In his Cabal form, he's pretty much invulnerable. There's really not a whole lot you can do to kill him. He can reanimate. He has dreams that contain premonitions. He has really sharp teeth, And he has a psychic link to Midian. So even before he knows what Midian is, he's having dreams about it. He is able to kind of sense where it is or if they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And also to the Nightbreed. So if the Nightbreed are in trouble, he would sense it.
Nightbreed are kind of like ugly X-Men, but, you know, cool. Some of them don't look great. That's all I'm saying. But granted, I guess some of the mutants in X-Men don't look good either.
The porcupine quills is super hot, though.
Yeah, she is.
She can get it.
She'll give you quite the prick.
There really aren't any weaknesses for Boone. He is, if someone's bleeding or something, he has a hard time resisting that. He is compelled to drink blood. But in all honesty, he doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses.
No, but I mean, he's immortal, but that doesn't mean he can't be killed. I mean, a human serial killer does have him out the ropes in the movie by stabbing him a bunch.
But he would come back. He would just be out for a bit.
But that's all we need for this, right?
That's true. So we're just going to get him to KO. He's also weaker during the day.
Yeah.
And outside of his Cabal form.
Exactly.
So we're going to go at night. You know, he can go full Cabal form. And we just need to get to KO. Because I actually do not know if there's a way to kill Aaron Boone.
I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, a serial killer with a knife and, you know, stuff had him on the ropes.
He stabs him and nothing happens. You're just being contrary today, dude.
No,
You're sleeping on the couch
his
tonight.
ass kicked in that movie.
It's fight night. Fight night! That means we're gonna fight. I feel like we don't fight as much.
We just watched that recently. He was getting his ass kicked.
No, yeah. Dan, he was just faking.
He's just faking.
He's just faking.
Making it interesting for the
He's trying
people
to make
watching.
it interesting for the people watching, and he didn't want David Cronenberg to feel like a wussy man.
David Cronenberg should have been in more movies.
He really should be. He's in this and Jason X.
I remember when I first saw this, I thought this was a David Cronenberg movie just because I saw his name in it. I'm like, wait a minute. No, he's the killer.
Clive Barker, bro.
I know. It's weird. I'm like, wait, who directed Clive? All
right, let's see what they have to say. Who wins, Jamie Lloyd or Michael Myers?
Lloyd with the help of Loomis. If not, then Myers.
Full-grown Jamie Lloyd, I think, could put up a good fight.
Oh, yeah. She took on Victor Crowley, so...
I'll be right back. You should never say that, because you won't be back. Nightbreed is definitely a movie that should have gotten a sequel. I agree. Or, you know what? A TV show. And nowadays, so many things are getting, like, these spin-off TV shows. Even things that have been gone for a while. Like, Gilmore Girls came back with another season. So I don't see why we can't. Hellraiser is getting a reboot, and I love Nightbreed. I think... with Clive Barker, there are a lot I love. I love Candyman, I love Nightbreed, and I love Hellraiser. And it depends on the day on which one I like the most. But I think Nightbreed is just as good as the other two. And it just unfortunately does not get as much attention. But absolutely should get a TV show.
Clive Barker made an amazing movie. And making it, he had a lot of control. Unfortunately, in post, they edited like crazy, edited it. And then sadly, thankfully, we got the good edit eventually. However... how come it didn't get a Saturday morning cartoon? Maybe if it would have been more popular.
Why didn't it?
If it would have been I guess if it would have made money, it would.
And they had music and stuff too. Honey, pass me that Dr. Pepper. It's calling to me like Midian.
You want that or a beer?
No, I want this Dr. Pepper.
Anyways, it would have made a great cartoon, just like Toxic Crusaders. I would have loved all the little Nightbreed mutants running around.
Hey, random hero. He's a random hero. All right.
I would have bought an Aaron Boone action figure.
Dude, I would love an Aaron Boone action figure. Oh my god. And wouldn't it be cool as if you got it wet or put it in the sun, then his Cabal form would show with like all the tattoos?
Yeah.
Why don't we make toys?
Why don't they make real cars the way they made Hot Wheels, where it's like, it's a white car, but then as soon as cold water rains down, it's a pink car? That would have been so cool. Why didn't they do that with real cars?
Ugh, they should do that. You're so smart. I take back every mean thing I've ever said to you. You're a genius. I love you. Okay, so guess who he's fighting?
The Invisible Man?
The Invisible Man. So there are a lot of Invisible Men, but Jack Griffin's the OG. He was the one in the H.G. Wells novel. He was the one in the original Universal Monsters movie. The sequels of Invisible Man get a little weird. So it's not Jack Griffin in the second one, but Jack is definitely the one with the highest body count. There's an Invisible Woman. There's an Invisible Agent. Then there's the reboot where it's not even really the same. He's got a suit, and it's really, really good. But it is quite a bit different.
I'd say Hollow Man's closer as a reboot.
Yeah. So, being that the new one, it's a suit, so he can take it on and off. He's not exactly a soup in the same sense as this guy who has been, his DNA's permanently altered.
Mm-hmm.
But because the potion has lasting effects on Jack Griffin's psyche,
Yeah.
we're going to go with Jack Griffin, but we might use like Hollow Man or other ones that have drawn direct inspiration from
Yeah,
Jack.
because they're comparable in powers.
Yeah, we're not going to use the suit because it's kind of it's a whole different thing, guys. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's more of technology than being super powered.
Yeah, I like it when we agree about stuff. All right, you can hit it.
Plus, as long as we count the Kevin Bacon one.
Of course. When have I not ever counted Kevin Bacon?
His weird skinless CGI dong.
Dude, it's so cool.
Oh, man, why are you so bad at drinking Dr. Pepper on streams?
I don't know. It blew up and it's just been laying there. What the fuck?
You just don't know what
no
you're
more
doing.
Dr. Pepper for me.
You're cut off on Dr. Pepper. Every time you have Dr. Pepper on the stream,
Like,
you just
Dr.
get it everywhere. At least it wasn't all over the keyboard this time.
It wasn't even shaken up. What the hell?
But anyways, this
I'm
guy is a
sad.
madman. Jack Griffin, he killed, over 200 people if you count that train crash that he caused?
He's killed more than any other Universal monster.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super gruesome hands-on, but yeah, he's responsible for their
He knew
death.
what he was doing.
Exactly.
He intentionally caused that. I mean, even Jason, he killed a whole space station, but it was kind of like a circumstances thing. I don't think Jason was intentionally like, oh, I'm going to get that space station. No, Jack Griffin intentionally killed the people on this train. So.
No, to be fair, if Jason was conscious enough to think about it, he totally would get that space station. But without
for him, it was a happy accident.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like Jack Griffin, Mr. Glass even was inspired enough to do the same thing to try and find Unbreakable. But yeah, Jack Griffin killed a lot of people. He's invisible. He's insane.
Totes insane.
He's batshit crazy, like we said. He's an egomaniac. Has no control over his invisibility. Like, he has to be stuck that way. Technically, he should be blind, but he's not somehow, so we're just gonna say he's not. And, yeah, he is mortal, but as I said in Nightbreed, you can win to a KO even being mortal, hypothetically.
So, obviously he's invisible. He's great at, like, evading the police and sneaking around. Helps that he's invisible. He has genius-level intellect. He was a chemist. He is highly, highly intelligent. He's stealthy, and he does get enhanced strength, speed, and agility. He's a lot stronger after he changes. However, being invisible makes you crazy, and he can't control it. He can't turn back, so he's stuck this way. So he is batshit crazy. He's an egomaniac. He has no control over his invisibility, and he's a megalomaniac. By the end of this movie, he's like, I'm gonna conquer the world. Like, he's full on brain, not so much Pinky.
And, he's kind of a mixture of the Mummy and Phantom of the Opera, depending on how he wants to run around being dressed. And I want to bring up Hollow Man, too, because, like I said, technically they should be blind, but they're not. And Hollow Man explains one of the reasons why he's kind of
Wait, are you bringing up Hollow Man as well, or Hollow Man 2? Because there's a Hollow Man 2.
The one with Kevin Bacon. Though I'm sure Hollow Man 2, I've seen it as well. It has a similar abilities. But the point is, they're not blind, but they can't close their eyes.
Which also makes you crazy.
Your eyelids are invisible, so that makes them insane. Their eyes are open all the time, even if they're asleep. Regardless, you can't.
But ultimately, he is mortal. He's killed by a gunshot. So it's just a matter of tracking him down. So let's get that vote up. Dun, 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 dun. Just gonna ease over here to that keyboard. Who would win? Dun, 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 dun. And he's going against Boone or Jack Griffin. Invisible Man. Boone is in Nightbreed. So who do you think would win?
I think in most scenarios, Boone will eventually catch him and rip him apart. I think Jack Griffin could get some KOs hypothetically. He could wait for Boone to not be suspecting him and hit him with a car or crash his train. But I just think most scenarios, Boone's gonna win, if it's especially a fighting scenario. Like, you put him in an arena, and even if you can't see him, he'll eventually catch him.
Here's the thing, I think, is Jack is mortal, and he is highly intelligent. Theoretically, maybe he could come up with a cool trap or something, but what's really going to be his undoing is Boone has hypersenses. Boone can smell him. Boone can hear every little move he makes.
It wouldn't be too hard to catch him.
Boone doesn't need to see him to know where he's at. And beyond being invisible, without his invisibility, Jack is very vulnerable. So I don't think Jack has much of a chance here.
And he's kind of had that mad scientist thing where even though he is highly intelligent, just being mad means he doesn't really take advantage of that high intelligence sometimes. He's just kind of nuts and not in full control of it.
I will say Decker, was able, like you said, to put up a good fight. And Decker's completely mortal, too. So if someone's intelligent enough, Decker was really intelligent, Jack's really intelligent, I think they can come up with a good game plan. And, knowing, like, what Decker did was he attacked the whole of Midian.
Yeah.
And that, he's so tied to Midian that that's going to make him really vulnerable.
Killing his friends and stuff.
Killing his friends and stuff.
There's also a bunch of rednecks running around with shotguns and other stuff that Boone was getting kind of banged up from just the war that was happening.
Just one-on-one, Decker knew he didn't have a chance, and I don't think Jack would have a chance either. So I'm full on going with Boone on this one.
Yeah, I believe it would be Boone. Like I said, I could see Jack Griffin winning some sort of trap to a KO in a sense, but
I really want.
I think in an actual fight is just I gotta vote Boone.
Look, just putting in the straw makes it angry.
Yeah, maybe you should not put in angry straws.
What the hell? I love Dr. Pepper so much. Why doesn't it like me? So tasty.
So tasty.
It's tasty. All right, so I'm going to check in with the chat, and when we're done, we're going to call the vote. So now is the time to get into your votes. Who would win? Boone from Nightbreed, Jack Griffin from The Invisible Man. Let's see. Gory, be careful with the Dr. Pepper. Yeah, too late. Too late. Nightbreed would have been a perfect Saturday morning cartoon. I agree. Yeah, been. See, Becky, you're just lucky. You're Maverick called it.
I thought it would be fine this time because we didn't have to have her pouring into her tumbler. It was just already open it, but no, she still put a straw in it and messed it up.
You're doing something weird to my Dr. Pepper. I never have this problem when you're not here. Wait, that's not true. I did. Yeah. On my Halloween stream. Damn it. Jason killed a whole rave party. The goalie was pissed. The goalie was pissed. I got to go to bed in a bit. Good night, Jim. Cupcakes tomorrow. Got work at 9. Yikes. Danny starts a new job tomorrow, too. Boone on this one. I agree, Sandy. There's a Hollow Man, too. Zombie Tune. There is. Hey, Zombie Tune. That's my new buddy. We met at Emerald City Comic Con, I think. I think that's my buddy. To be honest, Decker and Nightbreed kind of had the same look as Jack Griffin. See? That's
why they were great.
I pair these really well.
You did a good job with that one. I agree.
I'm glad you're happy, Ariel. If the Invisible Man goes to the bathroom, he's actually not invisible. So again, I'm going to draw from other movies here, but at one point, it's cold in the first movie, and they can see the air in his lungs. And in the Chevy Chase one, they can actually see him, like, digesting food, which is disgusting.
I think in the one, Invisible Woman, she talks about it a little bit, too, but doesn't show them.
Yeah, she, like, doesn't eat around people for that reason.
Yeah.
How can I vote? I've never seen Nightbreed all the way through. Laugh out loud. You could skip this one if you want.
Or just go based on what you're hearing in the chat and from us.
What we told you.
And other people are saying.
Okay,
or you can Google that fucker. But
yeah, Google that fucker.
But the poll has ended.
The poll has ended, and guess who won, Danny? Guess who won?
Boone.
It was Boone.
And
Did you know Boone is also the name of a basketball player?
Yeah.
Like Aaron Boone. There is a basketball player with that exact
Aaron
same name.
Boone. Okay, because I was about to say there's a bunch of Boones out there.
No, there's an Aaron Boone who's a basketball player. I think it's basketball.
I once went as
Maybe
Daniel
it was baseball.
Boone.
I don't know. I don't know sports that well, but I know when I was looking up information on him, I kept finding some kind of sports player. And I remember Joe Bob talked about that too when they did this movie on Last Drive-In.
Yeah, we watched it pretty recently because of that. So.
Yeah. All right, so Aaron Boone is the winner. Dun 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 dun. How we doing? Okay, we're doing all right. We're about halfway through. All right, so this movie is freaking awesome. It's super metal. It's Shocker, and this is Horace Pinker. Now, what I love about Shocker is it's so flipping bizarre. So you've got a crazy serial killer. You've got ghosts. You've got a guy who has electrical powers. You've got people fighting in a TV. This movie has a little bit of everything.
They're kind of like reverent ghosts, both of them. So.
So, Horace Pinker is a guy who was a horrible person. He was a serial killer. He's an abusive father. He gets the chair. What they don't know is he's been practicing some of the dark occult business. And when they kill him, they just superpower him. And then he becomes a guy who has electromancy. So he can control electricity. He can travel through electricity. He can shoot electricity. He's great at escaping. He can possess people, which is kind of weird. He doesn't actually shock anyone to death in the movie, which I think is really strange. But he prefers to stab and shoot people. And so he possesses a cop. He possesses a little girl. But yeah, he prefers stabbing and shooting weapons.
He's got them serial killer habits that don't die.
Yeah. He mostly uses the electricity stuff to travel through things. And if he travels into something, he can control it. So he can control like a car, or he can, if he's in the television, he can interact with it, like with the characters. He can also enter people's dreams. Yeah, he's great with firearms. What are his weaknesses?
Supposedly he can be trapped into a device, the electrical device, if he goes into it. Kind of like the electric gremlin was trapped into a phone.
So how that happened is Jonathan, who actually finds out that he's his son, Jonathan has his buddy turn off the generator, so it kills all the power in the city.
Yeah.
And he does that. He gets out of the TV just in time. Horace is still in the TV when the power goes out. Now, I do have issues with this, because I feel like when the power comes back on, like, he should be able to get back to what he's doing.
Because they destroy the TV before the power ever comes back on?
But Jonathan destroys the TV while he was in it, and that is what kills him. Other weaknesses, he has a permanent limp from an injury he sustained from Jonathan when he was still alive. So he has it even if he's a little girl, if he's a cop, anything. And yeah, he never shocks anyone to death. Missed opportunity there, Craven.
I think he'd be like Uncle Fester, and light bulb in his mouth, and be able to like grab you and zap you, but I don't know if he can, really. But
this is definitely an unsung Wes Craven movie. Also, Mitch Pileggi plays him. You might know him from X-Files.
And still no people under the stairs, though.
Shocker rules!
Random inside joke.
Yes, there is an Invisible Women movie. It is the third one after the Vincent Price one, and it's actually more of a romantic comedy. It's really fun, though.
It's good, though.
Baseball, thank you. See, Torchbearer helps me. Thank you. Yeah. My Emerald Buddy. Yes, it is my friend. It's my new friend. He's really good at artistry, like cartooning and stuff.
Cool.
He's like really smart. Anyway, and he's starting a YouTube channel.
Nice.
But we might have to like utilize his services.
Your brother's starting another one too.
I know, but it's about like Mustangs.
Oh, but he still wanted like Canadian Jason or somebody in it. I don't know.
Dun 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 dun. Yes, Kevin knows what's up. Serial Killers with Options, Haunted by Horror is a very good channel. I haven't seen Nightbreed. I just said that. Yeah, he looks just like Angel from Buffy, right? He looks a lot like David Boreanaz. Like when I first started watching Buffy, I thought they were the same guy. Though Craig Schaefer looks a lot different in other stuff. Like he was in the 5th Hellraiser movie. He's been in some other stuff. He looks a lot different when he's older.
Plus the like prosthetics when he's in his weird mode is kind of like the prosthetics of the vampires. It's pretty similar.
Yeah. And sweet Torchbearer, you met him? That's awesome. I would imagine Mitch Pileggi would be really intimidating.
I love how the McDonald's moon is one of the Nightbreeds. That's cool.
So I did change up this one a little bit just because I think it's more fun for you guys when the fights are even. At least when they at least have a chance, when they at least have a shot. And he was originally up against that kid from Twilight Zone who has no weaknesses whatsoever. He's essentially a god.
I mean,
and I didn't think that'd be fun.
We've never seen that kid take a surprise hit, so maybe hypothetically, but there's never been any indication that you can. He's been in 2 episodes of the Twilight Zone, the movie. There just wasn't any instances really of him being overpowered. Bart Simpson did it too. So I got you a new one that I think you're going to really enjoy. It's Sammy Kerr from Trick or Treat. Though I think
You're welcome.
I do like this because they're very evenly matched. But we had Ernest moved out of one of them, and Electric Man Ernest maybe. But, oh well, Sammy Kerr it is from Trick or Treat, aka what was it, Ragman originally
this
called.
Movie gets a lot of shit. I think just because it's not as good as the other Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
But this is a solid film.
Plus, the way they market this, they're like, hey, check out Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne, who have pretty small roles in this movie.
Gene Simmons is like a radio disc jockey. I love Ozzy Osbourne's role in this.
Oh, he's
he
like
plays
a
pastor
that's on TV who's
preaching
batting
that
heavy metal's the devil, and
he's so
you'll be a pervert if you listen to it.
I just adore him. So, Sammy Kerr, why don't you tell us about Sammy Kerr?
Well, he can control and travel through electricity as well. Prefers to emerge through music-related devices like radios and stuff.
Yeah, he'll come out of a Walkman or speakers.
Though he has ability to travel through anything, technically.
I think it's a personal preference.
Yeah, he loves things that have music, even in like TV if it's a music video and whatnot. But he can technically go through like an electric blender or whatever if he needs to. He has small abilities with that stuff as well. So basically, when they want to trap him in the end, they break all the electronic devices. Fortunately, they forget that a car has a radio in it, but...
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Anyways, fires a blast of electricity at his victims, to ash.
He does it out of a freaking guitar.
Yep.
Because at one time he goes through the speakers and he never got to play at his high school when he was alive, which sucks.
Because he was metal and...
But yeah, he gets to play the concert, and then he's blasting electricity with his guitar, and it's not just like, they don't just get shocked, they get disintegrated.
But he's very, like, Kiss kind of hair metal, type
He's
of...
a lot like Dee Snider, too, because
Yeah.
they show him in, like, these court battles and stuff.
Yeah, he's very much like Dee Snider. Speaking of those type of stuff, he communicates through subliminal messages and records and all that kind of stuff, and
Play
basically...
the record backwards.
And then he, like, tells you the plan, and he makes you think you're special, and you kind of execute the plan and all that kind of stuff.
My mom told me.
Yeah, anyways, he can also shapeshift into demons. Like, he... literally is a demon with a long-ass tongue, and this girl is pleasured to death. Well, into a coma. No. She gets put in the hospital from it.
So this chick is listening to her Walkman, and before there's even a demon, she's getting all turned on by just his essence of music. Mm-hmm. And she's getting all turned on, and she's stripping down, and then all of a sudden the demon that he has a tattoo of, like, he turns into that and then kills her. And then her ears are all meltified.
She goes to the hospital. She's in a sexicoma, basically. They just say... They
she
said
was going to die.
They said she was alive, the last we heard from her.
Well, yeah, just because that guy from Melrose Place said it.
Yeah, but anyways, that's how powerful his tongue can be.
Like a Gene Simmons tongue.
He's charismatic and, able to convince his followers of the metal pretty easily. However, his weaknesses is he can only exist as long as his final record or a copy of his record is as long.
The last recording he did was never actually a record. It was kind of like a unreleased one because he was killed in a fire, and that's why his face is burned. But he did have this alleged recording that the radio guy gives his biggest fan. So there's only 3 copies of this. And eventually, the only way to truly kill him, to eliminate his powers, is to destroy all of them. So what Sammy's trying to do is have it played on the radio, because then he'd pretty much be free to go wherever he wants. And if anyone recorded it, then it would just, it's kind of like The Ring. It would just get out of control. But basically, they call him Chicken. Mm-hmm. They, like, insult him so that he'll follow them. He'll show up in the car where they're playing his music. And then they drive off into, like, the water, and then that kills him.
It's a police car, so it has the gate, and he's kind of stuck. And, yeah, water hurts him. That's, like, his weakness, basically, because electricity, water is bad for it. As soon as he gets in the car, they break the radio. He breaks the radio, so he's trapped in the car and can't go anywhere else, and they plunge in there. However, it is implied that, they're going to play a tape copy of it, and will that bring him back? Credits.
Yeah, I think if you were to bring him back, that would summon him again. So, yeah, it's kind of a silly way for him to go out. Oh, no, I dropped my mouse right on the Dr. Pepper on my floor. Such a waste of Dr. Pepper. It makes me so sad. Like, why does
animals are always in here licking your carpet?
Why doesn't Dr. Pepper love me as much as I love it? So, Horace from Shocker. I like where we have our mic this time, but it is hard to see the screen.
Yeah.
So I'm typing a little weird. Sammy from Trick or Treat?
I would like both of these people to get some sort of reboot or.
I just noticed that. So there's Sam from Trick or Treat, and there's Sammy from Trick or Treat.
Sam Hain, either way.
It's not Sam
I
Hain.
know, but you take that up with Loomis.
I know.
And
Frickin'
Danzig.
Loomis.
For some reason, Dag's couldn't get right there.
It's cool. It's cool. All right, so let's get into it. Who's gonna win?
Well, I don't know. I think the electrocuting to Ash is kind of a more impressive thing that Sammy Kerr does, but I think it's harder to trap Horace. And I don't know if, the electrocuting to Ash would work on Horace. I know it works on people. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'm not 100% sold on it would. Just maybe it would. I do think it is a more superior attack. So I give Sammy the offense on that. But I do think Horace has a little better defense.
Something else to keep in mind is Horace a lot of times body jumps, and those bodies are completely fragile. A lot of times he has to change a body again because the body's been shot.
Yeah.
Or it's broken. So Sammy would have to get Horace in a place where there's no body to jump to.
Well, especially if he is in one of those fragile bodies, then I do definitely think that the electric Ash would work on him.
I think he could just zap it.
Yeah.
There are instances where Horace could win, but I mean, they can both travel through electricity, so they can battle inside a television, battle and leave it to Beaver.
They can both technically be trapped pretty similar ways.
I think Sammy's going to get style points for sure.
Yeah.
Horace doesn't have as many style points.
Horace kind of looks like Nails from WWF back in the day when they had the inmate wrestler named Nails. It's kind of what he looks like.
I feel like Sammy's also kind of good at, like, knowing what people want. If you're being bullied, he's like, okay, you want to get back at them? You want to nail them? With Horace, he could be like, you want revenge? Because Horace is all about getting that revenge.
Yeah.
Making people
Sammy,
pay.
that's what Sammy prays off of, like the main kid in the movie. He's like, hey, let's get revenge on these bullies. It wouldn't work very good nowadays with the climate of the school shootings that we were in, but yeah, it's kind of what he's playing off of.
But Horace is a serial killer, and I think if he thought that Sammy could give him help or more power, I think Sammy could seduce him at least enough to where he could kill him.
Yeah, and it's never officially said, but through watching the movies, I almost feel like Sammy is kind of a demon at this point, because he went to hell, and I think he kind of turned into one.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a demon.
Yeah, I mean, they're both officially just kind of revenant ghosts officially, but I mean, it's kind of implied in the way I took it. It's not straight up said, but I feel like he's kind of demon at this point.
The other thing is Horace is killed because he goes into a location, like a television, and then you basically have to cut the power and then destroy what he was trapped in. That's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
With Sammy, as long as there's a recording of that freaking tape, so if he actually succeeded, if his ego didn't get the best of him, and that played on the radio, if even a few people recorded it, and then other people recorded it, like, it could get to Ring levels of where he's unstoppable, like Samara with the Ring. Where there's so many copies that exist, you wouldn't be able to track them all down.
I kind of want to splice the endings between this and Halloween 3 with Tom Atkins like, stop it! Don't play it!
Stop it!
Because the radio's about to play at the end.
If Sammy had not let his ego get the better of him at the end, because they're basically calling him,
yeah,
calling him chicken, essentially.
It's almost Freddy Krueger style, because it's the opposite. Horace is trapped in a TV. Sammy's trapped outside of the electrical devices, and that's why he's trapped into the car. But
I mean, obviously Sammy, his ego gets the better of him, but I still think his ego doesn't compare to Horace. Like, Horace he's a serial killer. He's a sociopath. I think he would be manipulated by Sammy because he'd want that power and he would want revenge. And yes, Horace truly does not believe that anybody can hurt him.
And that's also where I lean to Sammy being almost demonic at this point, because not just electrical stuff, but he can make even, like, the jack-o'-lantern fires, like, rise.
Yeah.
Fire can, like, be induced by his presence.
So I think it's a pretty close fight, but I think a lot of the personality aspects of Horace are going to make him vulnerable to Sammy. And Sammy, it's going to be a lot harder to make sure you have every last recording. Even at the end of that movie, it was kind of implied that there could be another tape.
Yeah, because they're playing it. It's
and
like, it's not a record, but it's a tape. But does that count?
They got the tape from the Gene Simmons radio host.
Yeah.
So
Duke.
We don't know that there wasn't other ones to begin with
Nuke.
either.
Yeah, it was Nuke.
Yeah. So there could have been other ones too that he didn't know about. So I mean, it's a lot harder to track down every single cassette tape. And honestly, Horace has no patience. Like, zero patience.
I feel like this fight would almost play out like Peter Griffin and the Chicken.
Yes!
And they'd just be going throughout the entire, like, country, breaking TVs and studios and cameras and all kinds of weird shit as they're just jumping through
It'd be so metal, though.
radio channels and all kinds of shit. And so many DJs and people, like, hosting TV shows would die in live studios. But...
All right, so I'm going to call...
Oh, I haven't voted yet.
Oh, I voted for Sammy. I'm going to call the vote as soon as I'm done checking in with the chat. Who are you going to vote for?
I think I'm going to give it to Sammy, but just barely.
I think it's going to be a killer fight. I would love to see it, but I do think Sammy can
I don't think he's, like, super high above him, but I do feel like he is a little higher up with the abilities and his attacks. And like I said, I think it's all a little unfair in a sense that it's not official, but I think he does have a little bit of demonic power to him, which Horace does not have.
He doesn't have.
Yeah.
Ariel wants to know if you listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I certainly have, yes. Not like a huge fan, but I've heard almost all of their songs. And I'll tell you about their singer. He was pulled into questioning 3 different times to be the Hillside Strangler because the cops really thought that he was the Strangler. Unfortunately, when the Stranglers, there was 2 of them, moved up here to Washington, that finally freed him up and they stopped pulling him in.
Torchbearer met Mitch at the X-Files convention back in the 90s. That's so cool.
Nice.
And at CryptoCon 2018, I do remember him being there. I didn't get a chance to meet him, though. Let's see.
I would say Shocker is a slightly better movie, but that's not what I'm
They're
voting on.
attributing this year's VMAs. Sammy is Becky's guy. Becky, you know what's up. Becky's so smart. MTV Music is on now. Go, Nikki. I voted for Sammy, Kerr, Gory B, and maybe these 2 movies could do a double feature with this Trick or Treat and My Demon Lover with 2 of the stars of Family Ties. I think that'd be a great double feature. I actually think, because I'm doing this thing right now where I'm doing doing a review of one of the Halloween movies from the franchise every week. I think eventually it'd be fun to do like a rock month. And do like Rocktober Blood, Trick or Treat, Deathgasm. There's a lot that I really
Another
love.
one that would go with good with Sammy and Horace is what's his name? Eliza Cortez is the killer from Fallen. He's also very much a demon body possessor as well.
Absolutely. That's great with Shocker.
Yes, that is great. So
pretty even fight.
Also,
See, if I had Dr. Pepper, I wouldn't be yawning.
him and Shocker had a very similar execution death.
Zigma's going with Sammy. Sammy should get extra points for style. I agree. Gory, watch party. Deathgasm is great. I agree.
Yeah, Deathgasm is a similar type movie in a sense with all the shock rock. In fact, Netflix just came out with it. I can't think of the title right now, but they came out with an almost movie that's very similar to Trick or Treat, minus the spiritual killer. Because, like, this kid is like, oh, I want to do death metal at the school, and there's this cool death metal artist who used to do, metal, and he's like, it's kind of all the happy thoughts that are in Trick or Treat, minus the horror part. But it's a similar movie. I can't remember.
You lost me at the minus the horror part.
Sadly. But it was cool because it was like, this kid wants to do death metal at school.
Since I can't have Dr. Pepper, can I have another beer?
Yeah, just don't get cut off from that.
Sammy won! Good job, Sammy. I'm glad I brought him into this, dude.
Yeah, he's a good fight for it. Still.
Sammy's cool. And more people need to watch Trick or Treat.
But who would win out of the 3 of them in Ernest?
Dude, I don't even know. Ernest is like a guy.
Electro-Man. Yeah, he's like a living cartoon, so he has 2
I love
force.
Ernest. I love Ernest. We're going to bring him into our dream battles.
Definitely.
All right, so let's move on. So we're halfway through. This first round, guys, always goes the slowest because we got to introduce all their powers. Then it goes a lot faster, and I think we're actually doing pretty good on time.
Yeah, feels like it's going fast for us on our end. Hopefully it's going not too bad on your end. You're enjoying it.
Hopefully I'll stop yawning.
Sookie is mine.
Sookie now. You know who loves True Blood and Sookie?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg is
Huff.
a massive fan of Sookie's. He wrote a song about Sookie. He loves True Blood so much.
I mean, he dated one of the Olsen twins, so she looks kind of like his type is all I'm saying.
He loves Sookie.
Plus, he was a vampire in a movie, remember? Bones?
That's true. So, Sookie Stackhouse, she is the protagonist of the show True Blood and the Southern Vampire books by Charlene Harris. Mostly going off of the TV show here. So, Sookie is a telepath. She can pretty much read anyone's minds except for vampires. She eventually gets photokinesis, so she can generate, wield, and control light. And the light's kind of like a hard light, so she can zap the light and it can throw a person,
Because
a
of her
human
fairy
being.
blood.
Yes, it can throw a person. She's opened doors with it. She's broken handcuffs with it. It's really powerful against vampires and supernatural type creatures because it would just kill them if they're vulnerable to sunlight. Since it's essentially sunlight, she can.
It might not kill a human, but it could blind them temporarily. It could knock them on their ass. It could certainly hurt them.
She's also very charismatic and quick-witted. Her weaknesses are that she is a mortal person. She can be killed, and because she has fairy blood, she is a vampire magnet.
Now, even though she never does it in the show and stuff, just based on what her power is, she could easily do a Krillin or Goku and go, Solar Flare! It'd just be hilarious to see her do it. Yeah, like you said, she is mortal like human. She has fairy blood. Vampires, they love that fairy blood. They smell it, they sense it. That's why they're all about her. That's why they're all like, Sookie is mine. I don't care if my name's Bill or I'm a Eric and I'm a Viking. Either way, she got both in the end, right?
She's adorable. We love Sookie.
Even the changeling was all totally
the
into her.
Battle of the Psychics. Who is her opponent?
Danny's not here right now. Actually, he is. Sorry, he is here. Danny Torrance, that is. His strengths and abilities. He can see dead people. He can talk to people through their minds, especially if they have the Shining.
Really quick, we are going to include Dr. Sleep and The Shining.
Good.
So it's not little kid Danny.
And I think we should include both book and movie versions.
Sure.
We'll
let the adult one fight Sookie. I don't think she's going to beat up a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like 5 in that movie.
At this point, he's got more tricks up his sleeve. He would
win the hair contest.
He's also kicked alcoholism at this point.
Yeah!
Well, he's on the wagon.
And honestly, that's the fight I care the most about. Good for him.
He's at least 9 out of those 12 steps.
Good for him. That's a hard thing to do. Accomplishments.
Yeah. He's got telepathy. He can lock ghosts up in his mind boxes, and he can release those ghosts. He can release those ghosts at any place, any time, and those ghosts are deadly. They can kill you.
It's kind of like in 13 Ghosts. You know how they have all those ghosts locked up in the house?
Yeah.
He can do that.
He does that in his mind with the mind box, but exactly.
He could take like the Juggernaut and like release it on somebody, and it would go like ape shit on whoever he released it on.
Now, we can't count the Juggernaut. That's a different movie, but we can still count the ghosts that he has had, and they are deadly. They're even deadly to vampires.
Like creepy, sexy old lady ghosts.
They're deadly to the True Knot and Rose the Hat. They are ghosts that will kill you eventually, and if he unleashes them all at once, you're fucked. You're like a mosh pit of God.
Rose the Hat is deadly to me.
She's like a evil Stevie Nicks.
She is wicked hot. All right. So let's see. I think he has premonitions. He also has a connection with anybody else who has the shine. So he is aware of Abra before she even has met him because he can feel her shine.
He can mildly communicate with people who don't have it, but they won't understand it.
Yeah. Anybody who has the shine, like Doc or whatever, he can communicate with.
It's like perfect, like a
walkie-talkie. Abra is probably more powerful, but you guys voted for Danny, so that's
that's what you wanted. Fight. Plus, Abra, I mean, it's implied. I think that Danny teaches her that box trick at the end, but he's the one who uses it.
Let's not call it the box trick when we talk about the little girl.
Oh yeah. Anyways,
casket. It's like a casket. So yeah, he's a former alcoholic. He has daddy issues for sure. And he is not just a vampire magnet because the shine is tasty to the vampires. He's also a ghost magnet because it's just tasty to the ghosts too.
Now, there are other Stephen King books where the kids have shining. In it, none of those kids have the shine, but they kick Pennywise's ass when they all team together to stop being afraid. However, like in the tower or whatever, there's another creature just like it, like Pennywise, but it like feeds off of laughter, I believe, instead. That's the difference. Like joy, but those kids have the shining and they lay it to waste pretty quickly. So the shining is a very powerful weapon, though on humans maybe not always the most effective. However, he can read what you're thinking, and like I said, he can unleash a whole bunch of ghosts on you.
And he's also an empath too, which he uses a lot in his career as a healthcare worker. He's able to kind of calm people down and get in touch with like them on a mental level so that they can pass away peacefully.
Yeah, and now that he's sober, he's also pretty good with a rifle. I have to point that out. He uses a rifle on the True Knot vampires. So. And
yes, he sacrifices himself for Abra, but he does still live in the book.
Yeah, in the book he lives, and he gives...
Spoilers.
There's a guy that he works with who's a total, like, dick. Like, he's a... what do they call it? He's basically the janitor there, and he's a total asshole. But when he dies... And because Dr. Sleep always, like, comforts you when you're dying. That's another one of Danny's powers. He can, like, soothe you into...
Dude, I just said that.
Yeah. He can soothe you into the other world. He's not even 100% sure where the other world is, but he knows how to soothe you there. The asshole that he works with is dying, and he's like, but I have a puppy at home. Who's going to feed it? And he's like, don't worry. I'll find it a new home. And he gives it to Abra. So, there you go.
He's just a great guy. Also, all Danny's are sexy.
And he can operate a little train that's small enough for people, but it's small. It's like a little train.
Okay, so let's break it down. Who do you think's gonna win? I'll tell you who I think's gonna win.
Right,
so
you go first.
I actually don't know. I'm gonna think about it. So Sookie has that cool light thing, which she could definitely use to knock Danny off of his ass.
Blind him a little bit.
And
I think
that could help. And they're both telepaths, so that's not gonna. I think it's gonna kind of cancel each other out because essentially in the Stephen King universe, she would have the shine.
Mm-hmm.
So they can communicate and stuff. They know what each other is doing before they do it. I think the one ace Danny has up his sleeve is that he has those caskets of ghosts.
Yeah.
So he could unleash a pretty powerful ghost on her. However, her light is very powerful on supernatural beings. So I think she could actually destroy the ghost essence.
Maybe. I think that she could definitely take on a ghost or two. I don't know if she could take on all of them. He has quite the collection. Like, he has basically...
He has a hard time handling more than one, though. He should just, like, a few at a time.
He unleashes, like, all of them at the end. That's
on
the true knot.
He also like dying.
He basically has every ghost from the hotel in his collection right before he releases them all. I
think her light, because she can drop a ball of light that can kill, like, every vampire within a radius. I think she could do that on the ghosts, and it would make them scatter.
It probably would. I'm not saying that
I don't think he would be able to hurt her with the ghosts, because her light is extremely powerful to supernatural beings.
I think she could even hypothetically blind him with her light. However, with his shine, he'd still be able to see without it. He can visit you in your mind. He can't, like, Abra kick your ass in your mind, but he can still visit you. And he can also use what you're seeing, like, as your own sight. Like, if she was looking at him, he would be able to see himself through her eyes.
I'm going to have to go with Sookie on this one because I think he's going to unleash those ghosts and it's going to freak her out, but then she's going to drop a big ball of light and it's going to make them scatter because she just needs to get them away from her.
I agree.
And then she can throw another ball of light that's going to knock his ass to a wall and make him unconscious, therefore she wins the fight.
I'm going to go with Danny, and I totally agree with what your setup there is, but while she's unleashing that ball of light to kill all the ghosts, he shoots her with a rifle and she will die. He has a rifle and he's good with it.
She's good with guns too.
Yeah, but when she's using her light on the ghosts, she's vulnerable to be shot. And that's what Danny does to the True Knot. Him and Abra set up all these traps where they have, like, projections of Abra, and then Danny shoots them. So he knows, like, that's what they're waiting for. He knows that they're going after that. Like, there's this one woman, and, like, she can basically tell any man she wants. Like, Snake was her name or something like that. She had, like, a snake tattoo.
Snakebite Andy.
Yeah, Snakebite. Yeah. But they set up a trap where they're convinced they think Abra's over there, and then Danny shoots them. Like, that is his thing. Like, set up a trap with the ghosts, and then shoot you. That's kind of a strategy, and I think it would work on Sookie.
I don't think so. I think she's pretty smart, and she's definitely quicker on her feet than he is. He's easily distracted and overwhelmed, especially by, like, the ghosts and stuff.
She's a little arrogant.
She also has fairy blood.
But that makes her a little arrogant. And I think when she's wasting time
That's because she tends to kick a lot of ass.
But when she's wasting time on ghosts, she can't dodge a bullet. She's not quick enough to do that.
No, but she might be able to use the light to knock the rifle out of his hand before he can shoot.
Maybe. I'm going with Danny, but I'm not saying Sookie would definitely lose.
I think it's a pretty close fight. It can go either way, and I'm going with Sookie.
I agree that
I
they could go anywhere.
You're not voting for any of the ladies.
If it was Abra, I'd probably still be voting.
Mm-hmm.
I think Abra could do it too.
Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Anyways, what does the chat have to say?
Let's see what the chat has to say, and then we're gonna call it. Actually, I think the chat agrees with you. I'm just trying to make you feel guilty. No, my husband is absolutely not sexist. I just like to tease him. Sammy will always win. See, Angela knows. Gory, are we having a watch party for members? We are going to have a Discord chat here really soon on my Patreon. And then I'm just going to pick a movie because I put out a vote and nobody voted. So I'm going to make you guys suffer through one of my favorite movies. Tatum says she joined your Patreon.
Oh,
yeah.
thank you.
True Blood does rock. This is a great matchup. Now I have like hiccups again. Danny is powerful and practical. It's true. Which is better, True Blood or The Walking Dead? I'd say True Blood.
He also has like a actual imaginary friend who warns him about kind of shit. He would warn him on Sookie.
I think True Blood starts really, really strong. I do need to finish. I think I've gotten up to season 4. And Walking Dead, I kind of lost interest after season 3. But you know, I don't know. Beyond that, it could have gotten better.
I mean, in the movie, it's just his finger, but like in the books and stuff, it's like in his mouth. I think he's like hiding in there.
Eventually, I get a lot of my headbands from Etsy. But my friend Becky is gonna make me some headbands, so I don't know. Maybe I'll help her sell some.
I have a tie like your.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I love the shining pattern.
It's just such a great pattern. A lot of your man cues sticked out in that pattern.
Hey,
Martin. Say hi to Martin. We adopted him.
Sup, Martin?
Hey, Movie Massacre. Hey, it's my mommy. Mommy, I love you.
Mommy,
I miss you. We need to go visit Mommy soon. We haven't visited Mommy in a while.
Yeah, we could do that soon.
We need to check on Mommy. All right, so I'm going to call it, and Sookie just got her ass whooped by Danny. Whooped. Which just makes me sad. But you know what? Danny is a great character. He's overcome some pretty awful shit. I actually think these two people would be really good friends.
Oh, of course they would. They wouldn't really fight in real life, but hypothetically, we had to set up a scenario where they would. Reason why I voted Danny is mostly because Sookie is constantly...
Sookie now.
She is being saved by vampires or werewolves.
She is often distracted by the vampires trying to bone her.
Exactly. But either way, it's kind of a team effort where they help her out a lot. Even though Abra is more powerful, Danny is the one helping and
Nobody's trying to bone Danny except for Anakin. That's only because he had the high ground.
Yeah.
But that was a different movie.
But, like I said...
You're thinking about it now.
Even though Abra is technically more powerful, he is her, like, Padawan, like, in a sense, like...
He is!
He helps her.
Well, he's not her Padawan.
No,
Padawan's a student.
Yeah, she's the Padawan.
He is her,
Yoda. Whatever.
Yeah.
Her Obi-Wan.
Her teacher.
Her Obi-Wan. He helps her out. Like, technically Anakin is more powerful than Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan was the... Yeah. She's the Padawan. He's helped saving her... Because that she really has the shine, and the true not love the shine, like, and they mostly target children because they have like the freshest fruit of shine, and also they're children. They're a little easier to pick off because they don't know how to use their shine usually. Danny is one of the few adults that maintains his shine because a lot of kids forget about it. Like once your imagination kind of goes, and when you become an adult, most of them lose.
It's part of
shine.
why it's so strong because kids believe and are passionate, so much more passionate about things than adults are.
Yeah.
But I think what Danny went through as a kid has made it to where it's permanently stuck with him.
That's why he's got that. Doc helped him out a lot. Or I guess. So even though he's not quite, he knows how to use it very well at his age. For what he has, and yeah, I just think he's a little better of a strategist than Sookie. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Checking in with the chat really quick. Dun, 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 dun. Both True Blood and Walking Dead are pretty big shark jumps. Yeah, they go into some crazy directions. The idea of Tony living in Danny's mouth and hiding in other parts of his body freaks me out.
Yeah.
Me too.
But like I said, he still warns. He's like, that's the premonitions.
Your undies match my headband. That's the coolest. Hi, Tatum. I currently work on an animated greeting for you and Gory. Sweet.
Ooh.
Definitely not TMI on this channel. You're in the Gory hole. And everything's safe in the Gory hole. All weirdos are welcome, and you can be as weird as you want to be.
I also want to throw out a little shout out to the Movie Massacre because I'm in his latest episode as I'm an animated, and we did Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and then
not willingly.
Yeah, well, I'm still in it. Regardless if he tied me up and made me do it or not, I'm in it. Go check that episode out. It's awesome.
That shit was kinky.
And go back 3 episodes, and Frankenhooker has Gory in it.
And I think we're going to be teaming up with him again pretty soon for October.
Yeah, I think he wanted to do a Night of the Living Dead or something.
Wow. So we're going to get them fun facts.
I might even find a way to incorporate him when he comes up to visit us at the end of September.
All right, so now we're moving on to the Beast Masters, so to speak.
Yeah.
The Beast Masters!
Ratcatcher 2?
So I actually just met William Cat, who plays this awesome gentleman here, Willard Stiles. I love this movie. Mummy introduced this one to me at a young age. And Willard's great because he's a misfit. He's a weirdo like all of us. And his only friends are these two rats, Socrates and Ben, that are in his mother's garden. And he starts innocently enough by training them. And eventually they bring more and more friends. And the other ones are easier to command. Pretty much they follow Socrates. So, but he does seem to have, especially when you look at the remake, he seems to have an almost psychic connection with these rats. They know exactly what he wants. He does have commands like tear it up that he uses, but there's a lot of times where they go in the direction that he wants.
Like, so they just kind of know.
Either they're very attuned to his body language, or there is some kind of a psychic link that
doesn't mean he always gets along with them.
No, well, the problem is when he wants to have a normal life with a girlfriend, he tries to kill them.
Especially
and after he's lost his favorite, which was Socrates. Socrates gets killed at his work, and then he tries to get a girlfriend, so he tries to kill them, and then Ben gets his vengeance, and Ben commands the rest of the rats, and that's ultimately how he dies.
And in the remake, he's Crispin Glover, which I believe is a superpower all itself, being Crispin Glover. But Ben is more jealous of Socrates, because Socrates is his favorite, and Ben does all the heavy lifting. Like, he's this big, hulking rat that does most of the work. He's the general, but Socrates gets all the credit, basically. So he gets a little jealous of him.
Yeah, well, Socrates is also just sweet and charismatic. Like, okay, Socrates is like the Chad, and Ben is like the nice guy.
Well, he's this bulking hulk of a rat. He's big as a dog.
He's a big, fat, scary, black rat. Came out way wrong. But yeah, he's a big, fat, scary rat. He's mean. But ultimately, Ben just wants to have a friend. He wants to be loved like Socrates is loved. And then when he gets a sequel, he does get a friend who's a little boy. And, Ben bonds with him.
The remake kind of matched the sequel and the original.
A little bit. But yeah, I think he is jealous of Socrates a lot in this movie. And he is really smart. I think he's actually smarter than Socrates.
Yeah.
But this isn't about Ben. This is about Willard. So Willard is socially awkward. He definitely has mommy issues. His mother is extremely controlling. Ben is obviously one of his weaknesses, and he's mortal.
I'd say Willard suffers from anxiety as well. Especially socially.
And also, I highly recommend the Rat Catcher's Notebooks. I think Ratman's Notebooks. Yeah, Ratman's Notebooks. That's what this was all based on, which is a pretty good book. I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember it was a really good read. Anyway, Willard is facing off against Jennifer Corvino, who is played by Jennifer Connelly in one of her early roles. She's just magnetic in this movie. This movie is so nuts. It's so metal. There's a serial killer, and then there's this girl who has the ability to control insects. So she can get a swarm of locusts in, or flies. And she bonds very well with insects, and she never ever turns on them like Willard does. She's very sensitive to them. She protects them.
She's like their queen.
She's never creeped out by anything creepy or crawly.
She's the queen bug.
We're never really told what the extent of the insects she can control are, so for the sake of this one, I'm going to stick with insects, so not arachnids like spiders.
Hypothetically, she could, but we don't know that, so...
I want to say she probably could, but in the movie we don't ever see it. She mostly does flies and stuff.
Grasshoppers, locusts.
So she's able to communicate with and control insects. She survives a freaking serial killer, and she's very quick-witted on her feet. Her weaknesses are that she's mortal, she sleepwalks, she's a social misfit, and her powers can overwhelm her. So she can at one point, I think she passes out from her abilities.
Yeah. It takes a lot for her to use it.
But it took a lot. That's when she summoned a whole bunch of, flies.
It's a whole big hive mind. Like I said, she is basically a queen, and they have that hive mind link. Her hive will do her bidding. They protect her. She's also friends with Dr. Loomis.
Oh, yeah, dude. All right, so I'm going to put the vote in the chat. Okay, so we've got Willard, the Rat Man, versus Jennifer, the Bug Girl. Honey?
Oh, so sorry. That was me. Totally did that.
Be quiet.
I stepped on a duck.
Okay, so who do you think would win? I think I started at the last one.
Bugs is useful, and they are smaller, and there are more of them. So I kind of want to lead towards Jennifer on this. Though I think Willard is meaner and nastier himself, physically, if like him and Jennifer fought one-on-one.
He would be so intimidated by a female, though, because he's not used to women even talking to him.
If her bugs harmed Socrates, I think he would punch as hard as he could.
I think he would too, but here's the thing: Willard is a stringbane, and she's not physically very strong either.
They're both fairly weak.
I think
physically.
she can overpower him. She has honestly got more mass than he does.
The original, yes. Crispin Glover, not so much. He is taller. He's skinny, but he's a McFly, and he gets pretty hefty.
Let's just say, if he comes to a hand-to-hand battle, neither one of them's doing much more than
They're not going to be very impressive.
They're just going to slap each other. It comes down to their abilities to control things. So, I don't think she needs... She only passes out from her abilities when she summons a massive mob. I don't think she needs that. She can summon a small hive of, like, bees or something that would, like, sting him, kill him... At least knock him out, which is all she needs to do. That's going to distract the rats. If there's a whole bunch of flying insects around, I don't think the rats are going to want to be there. She can, like, barrier her body with them, and she can also send some to attack Willard.
Now, this is only being mentioned because I believe the powers are comparable. Ratcatcher 2 took down Starro with rats, and I think that the rats are very effective, maybe even so.
Rats are highly intelligent.
They are maybe even more so than the bugs. I'm not saying the bugs are going to do a lot of damage quick, they will. But I do think the rats have an edge here. I'm still going to give it to Jennifer because Ben is a wild card here, and he's a tank. I think he's a key factor on this, but he has turned on Willard before, and I don't see why he wouldn't turn on him here. It's just how it is. It's kind of.
She's also kind to all small creatures, including rats. So she wouldn't want to hurt the rats. I think she'd want to just like get them to leave her alone with the bugs, but she would be kind to Ben.
Where Ben will turn on him, and most of the rats will work with Ben. Like once Ben turns, once Socrates is dead, and Willard is too busy worrying about poor dead Socrates, Ben. Okay, it's just like Leonardo and Raphael. You make a movie on Ninja Turtles, they're gonna fight and argue. Ben and Willard are the same way. I think Ben turns on Willard here. That's just how I see it playing out.
I don't think we even need that because there's so many insects that can do a lot of damage quickly. Think about locusts. They would completely do so much. They're like flying piranha. We
just had Killer Locust in the new Jurassic Park movie. We just had Killer Rats in the new Suicide Squad movie. They both are very effective, but I think just her and her bugs have a much more peaceful and on the page.
The bugs are also, their brains are a lot more simple.
Yeah, and they're more on the same page as her. Where I think most of the rats are on Willard's page, but once Ben rebels, so are half the rats.
Something else I want to point out is Willard might have a close connection to the rats, but it's not like Jennifer, who she has a psychic connection to the insects. So she knows exactly what they're thinking. They know exactly what she wants. One point, like a little firefly, like leads her to where she needs to go to get a clue. They have a complete, total psychic connection. Willard does not have that.
Or that we know for sure.
He does not know what the rats are thinking. That's for sure. He would know when Ben was going to double cross him. He does not know what they're thinking.
Not a hive mind.
I think they're able to read him really well, so they have a very empathetic
I think it's more of an empath. Even if it is telekinesis, at the same time, they're able to block it out if they really don't want him to think.
But the point is, they cannot read his mind, or they would know when he was going to kill them, and he cannot read theirs. Jennifer can communicate with the insects telepathically.
Yeah.
They know exactly what she's thinking. She doesn't need to tell them what to do. They would go just on what she's thinking. And likewise, she knows exactly what's going on with them.
They have, like I said, she's like the queen and is a very hive mind for a reason.
Literally.
It's called hive mind for a reason, like that term. And I think that works better with her and her bugs. Where, yeah, like I said, Willard and Ben have problems. Almost every movie that they're in, they eventually disagree. It's just kind of how it is. She's kinder to her animals. I think Ben would see that. Socrates gets hurt or dead. Willard's going to go hysterical, and it could make him a little more dangerous, but at the same time, sorry, that's a bad word to use, he goes a little nuts, emotional. But either way, when he does that, it might make him a little more dangerous. It could, but it also could very much be like a flip of the coin. It could just be his downfall. And I think her solid connection with her bugs makes her the victor in this, more times than not. I think if they fought a bunch of times, the rats would get some wins, but...
I honestly think a lot of the rats would probably go over to her side of things.
Especially once Ben does. Like I said, Ben and Willard always butt heads. That's just their story, so... I'm going to say she never had that story with any of her bugs. They all are very on the same...
Like I said, she's got a psychic connection, and the rats are going to be scared by a swarm of locusts or something. They're going to back away and give her space. Mm-hmm. And those can easily, if you get bees, wasps, there's a lot of insects that can do a lot of damage and kill a person. Enough wasps are stinging you, you're going to die, or at least be knocked out.
Yeah, that's that. I think if they fought a bunch of times, Willard would get a few wins, but for the most part, Jennifer would conquer.
Think of other things too, like fire ants and stuff. I mean, she has a wide array of insects to draw from, and there's no limit to what she can summon.
Mm-hmm. So I brought up Ratcatcher's abilities because they're comparable, and they could take down them, but so could her bugs technically. Even in the new Jurassic World, those locusts, they eat up all the crops. They're quick, and I just think her solid hive mind is gonna be better than Willard and Ben's chaos that they always have.
All right, I'm gonna check in with the chat, and then we're gonna call the vote. Angela, absolutely. Phenomena is honestly probably my favorite Dario Argento film.
It might be my favorite.
I know everyone loves Suspiria. I think it's just a better story. It's a little crazy, but she is so wonderful in this, and it's just so great. The soundtrack is killer. I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. And Willard is so good. I like the remake as well. My preference would be the William Cat original, and Ben's also really fun. But the William Cat original is really good, and I like the Crispin Glover remake too. So honestly, you can't go wrong.
And I think Michael Jackson made a video, and then Crispin Glover made his own video too.
Mummy, Jennifer is in a movie called Phenomena. That's typically what it's called in the United States. It is an Italian film, though it is in English. Sometimes it's called Creepers. It's really, really, really good, though. Donald Pleasance is in it. Essentially, there's a serial killer, and a lot of people think because she can command these bugs that it's her doing it, when she's the most gentle person ever, and she's bullied at school, and it's really hard. But this scientist, Donald Pleasance, connects with her, and they start kind of studying her, and there's this cool chimpanzee that's got her back, and she ends up kind of figuring out the mystery, and it's really cool. It's really exciting. It's just such an original story. I highly recommend Phenomena.
She has a chimp friend. He's no Shockma though, but I would say it's a good double feature with Friday 13th Part 7, because you gotta have this killer versus this girl with soup powers.
Putting the movie on there with them, but so it's Phenomena.
You did it for a few of them. You just didn't do it
and that's a Dario Argento movie. Mm-hmm. I believe this one is on Shudder right now. It's pretty easy to find though. Just go whatever your streaming service is. You might be able to find it, but it is a pretty easy one to find. It's absolutely worth a rental on Amazon or Google Play or wherever you rent your movies. I highly recommend this movie. It's incredible.
And then Willard's from Willard the remake, and Ben, the sequel to the original.
So
plus the music videos, which
both movies that Willard are in are called Willard. So there's the original Willard, and then there's the remake Willard, and then there's a sequel to the original Willard called Ben.
And definitely check out the Crispin Glover music video, though. It's a fucking hilarious thing to watch.
It's creepy.
It's insane.
So Mav loves this matchup. Dun, dun, dun. Mummy, I would like to know. It's Phenomena, dude. Sometimes called Creepers, though. So, it's the thing with a lot of these Italian movies. Sometimes they get different English titles. Most of the time, you'll find this called Phenomena, but sometimes it's called Creepers.
Phenomena. Phenomena.
I think Jennifer wins here, not just because she's my fave. There are no dissenters among her insects. Agreed, like Willard with Ben, and there's so many of them. I agree. He does his rats dirty, and the rats are intelligent, and so they know what's up. They know about rat poison and stuff. So he really was not fair to them. They were a friend to him when he had no friends.
There's some.
He starts to get friends, when he gets the confidence and stuff, he betrays them.
There's jealousy and backstabbing, and she does not have that with her bugs. And that's why I ultimately give it to her. I think Willard is a valid threat to her, but there's too much...
She would never betray the insects for a love interest.
There's too much chaos in his camp.
She's a good-hearted person. She's a good hero.
They are a solid unit on her team.
He's a McFly. Oh, rats are really smart. They are. And I think the rats are smarter than Willard.
Plus, she'll catch him peeping on Marty's wife. He'll be peeping on the trees.
I think what's good about this is I do think
Marty's
the
mom.
rats are smart enough that they're able to figure out that Willard betrays them, especially Ben, which is really sad. But luckily the insects aren't smarter than Jennifer, but it's okay because they can trust her. They can read her mind too. So they have a psychic link, so they would know if she was going to harm them, but she never ever would. She's a much better person than Willard.
They think of her as their queen, and she is kind to her kingdom.
She's a brilliant character. And this is Jennifer Connelly, who, like, these days is a pretty big deal. She was just in Maverick. So this was one of her very early roles. I love her from Labyrinth, which she did, I think, right after this.
Yeah.
But I love this movie, too.
Like I said, her team is just a solid unit, and that's why I give them the win here.
Don't forget that Jennifer also has a razor blade wielding chimpanzee in her
Exactly.
corner. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I don't 100% think she needs
Hey,
it.
Jamie, nice to see you. All right, so I'm going to call it, and I'm really happy that Jennifer won this one, just because she is the more, I think she's the more capable, but she's also the more heroic character, the one I'd want to see win it if it was a movie. I initially am very sympathetic with Willard, because I'm always sympathetic with the misfit,
He is
the weirdo.
sympathetic, but he's also kind of a backstabby
But
douche.
as soon as he starts to get to where he wants to be in the world, he betrays the people, the rats, the friends that were there for him when he
When
had
he's at
no
his
friends.
lowest, so then yeah.
And Jennifer's not that kind of person. So
It's kind of like that friend you have in high school. Once they get all popular, they stop talking to you.
yeah, not a fan of that. So Jennifer is going to move forward, and she's going to go against Danny Torrance. All right, so we got 2 more fights, and then after that, it goes so fast. It goes so fast.
I originally thought I was gonna vote Willard originally. Like, just when you showed me the card, and I was thinking of, like, how they took out Staryu and stuff like that. But, like, no. I think her connection... the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, Jennifer would actually probably win this.
I mean, I think you're as strong as your army, and your army's, like, loyalty to you, your pack's loyalty to you, and if there's dissension in your ranks, I think it's gonna hurt your fight.
If they say you're as strong as your weakest link, and there's
Yeah.
a few links that are, like, in that chain that are weak.
I seriously think Ben would be like, why the hell are we hanging out with this guy? She's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm joining, and half
And
the
it
rats
was
would
just
go with him.
because he was kind to the rats and trained them. She's kind to all creatures, so...
And like I said, if Socrates dies, Willard's gonna lose his shit, and it could make him a little more dangerous, but at the same time, it'd probably just make him more irrational.
With Willard, really, the only one he truly thought of as a friend was Socrates. The rest of
Exactly.
them were cannon fodder. He
So,
didn't care if they got hurt or anything.
They are disposable until
Like,
Socrates.
Jennifer doesn't like it when a single one of the bugs is hurt.
I feel like he'd make a huge mistake once Socrates is dead in this battle.
I agree.
And he'd be eaten up by locusts and maybe a few other rats. They would chew him down.
Alrighty, so let's talk about the next one. So now we're getting into some more of our telekinetic soups.
With mind bullets! That's telekinesis, Kyle!
All right, Danny, we were all caught up on Stranger Things, so hit me with that 11.
11, she's got telekinesis, portal manipulation, psychometry, telepathy.
I'll explain some. I'll explain some of these things here, and then you can just add in.
All right.
So telekinesis is being able to move things with your mind. She's able to stop a train, like move a train to close the portal. She flips a van to kill Demogorgons. Portal manipulation. So she can open and close portals. Psychometry is being able to touch something and read the entire history of that object.
Mm-hmm.
She's telepathic. She can read minds. Psychic projection. She can project her consciousness. Usually she has to do like this kind of like scientific thing with like a bath and stuff, but she can project her consciousness into into the upside down or into somebody else's mind. She has survived some pretty hitty bads, like the Mind Flayer.
Mm-hmm.
She's killed Demogorgons. When she uses
Government
her
agents,
ability,
scientists.
sometimes she can levitate. She did that at the end, I think, of season 2. She was like levitating when she used her power.
She killed number 1. She's 11, and she killed 1.
Yeah, who's the most powerful and ended up becoming Vecna.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, sorry. She's able to manipulate the bodies of living beings to some extent. So, like, when Max is killed at one point, she's able to resurrect Max. I think it's like she's kind of, like, going into their body and, like, starting them up again.
Like a mind CPR type thing.
Like a defibrillator.
Yeah, basically.
So, she can manipulate people's bodies to some extent. Remote viewing, so she has an ability to kind of see what's going on with other people that are not near her. She gets into, like, this bath of water. She can communicate with the dead, like she talks to Max after Max is dead. She's stealthy, and she's good at defending herself.
Yeah, and you said you astro project herself other places in people's subconscious. She does all kinds of great stuff. She's taken on, I'd say she has some really good experience taking on some big bads and some creatures, both human and not human. She's pretty powerful in both the reverse, what was it called?
Upside down?
The upside down and the normal world. She's got her powers both places really well. Weaknesses, well, she can take her toll like to the point where she defeats the Mind Slayer, but she kind of loses her powers and has to regain them all back.
We're going to use her at the height of her power.
Yeah,
but when she does use her powers a lot, she'll get like a nosebleed. Sometimes they'll make her pass out.
The point is though,
we're not going to use the void or anything where she doesn't have powers.
No, but I'm just saying she can be so overwhelmed using her powers that she kind of has to start from scratch.
Or she'll be physically exhausted, or she like can't do anything, or she'll pass out. Her abilities are also tied to her emotions. So if she's very, very angry, she might be able to, she can do crazy stuff without meaning to. So yeah, it's all tied to her emotions. Like if she's feeling really down, it's hard to charge herself up.
She'll hit you with a fucking roller skate. She is pissy.
She's sassy too.
She don't take shit, but she, like you said, her emotions get the best of her. She also has a weakness for her love of Eggo waffles and D&D playing nerds.
Oh yeah.
I stepped on another duck. Sorry about that. Anyways, so there you go.
So yeah, she definitely has people that she will risk her life for and such. But she is pretty good at defending herself. Like she's been able to just, even when she didn't have her abilities, to be able to like get away from people, to fight and stuff. So
other weaknesses is that she does have like parental issues, like her mom in the Rainbow Room. She has some sad feelings about what happened there, and obviously with Hopper, kind of a daddy issue thing going on, but
a good one.
Yeah, not a bad one overall. I'm just saying those are kind of weaknesses because they're part of her emotional state.
Let's talk about Charlie and McGee. So I honestly, from what I know about Charlie, you can use any Firestarter. So she's more of a young woman, and Firestarter Rekindled, which is really bad.
The new one?
No, the
sequel?
Rekindled is like the sequel, and then there's the reboot where Zac Efron's her dad.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty comparable.
Sequel.
It's streaming on Shudder.
I've seen the original and the reboot.
It's on Shudder.
The reboot is basically Logan, but with fire powers instead of claws.
So she has pyrokinesis. That means she can control and generate fire from her hands, and not just fire. Like she's able to throw fucking fireballs, which that was missing from the remake.
That one she just kind of catches you on
Oh
fire.
my gosh, the fireballs! Those are cool.
Like
they and her powers get stronger with age too. So they think that by the time she's an adult, that she could probably create a nuclear event. But we're only dealing with what she's actually done. She hasn't done that yet.
They're both in their young forms here.
She also has the powers of her parents, so she's also telepathic. She also can use telekinesis. She uses that to like. Usually they use it to get money and stuff, like out of payphones and such. Mm-hmm. She has mental domination, so if she wants to, she can control your mind. And she has precognition, so sometimes she gets visions of things that are going to happen that haven't happened yet.
She also can kind of control what you see. Like, she can make you think that you killed her or ran away, like, but you're controlled of her thoughts. You, like, find out that you've just been kind of almost hypnotized into thinking that's what happened. Yeah,
she can completely control your mind into making you think that things are happening that are not happening. She can make you think that everyone in the room is a dog.
Yeah.
If she wanted to, hypothetically.
Yeah. Like, at one point, she's about to be sniped, and the guy thinks he shot her and killed her, but then found out she went a completely different direction.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's got a lot more abilities than just the fire-starting abilities that she's known for. Her weaknesses are, at the end of the day, she is still mortal. She gets shot with a trank dart, and that takes her out. She's vulnerable to being manipulated. She's been manipulated. She sometimes has a hard time controlling her abilities because her dad basically told her not to use them at all until basically the events in the movie. And her powers, like LOLZ, are linked to her emotions.
Yeah, like 11, very emotional. She kills a cat because it like scratched her. Like she just unfortunately
Isn't that in the remake?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's something she did, even if it's the remake. And like I said,
a good example that's in all of them is her dad's testing her, and her mom's like, "Okay, that's enough for the day." And she accidentally sets her mom's oven mitts on fire. And so, like, in the book, they talk about how she remembers her mom always having, like, these bandaged hands. That was in the original. Her mom was Heather Locklear. It's in the remake.
Yeah.
So that's something she didn't mean to. She loves her mom, but she was not really trained on how to control her abilities. And when she gets really angry, things go crazy. You know,
she's a little hothead.
The climax of Firestarter, you know, she's setting out fireballs and stuff because she's lost people who are very dear to her.
She gets heated.
But by rekindled, I mean, she can control it a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, so let me put the vote in. I think Charlie farts smoke, Dusty, or Sigma.
Probably.
Like little puffs of smoke.
Burps it too.
Like little smoke comes out.
A little smoke ring.
That's so cute. All right, so we got 11 from Stranger Things. Ah!
Charlie.
And Charlie from Firestarter.
Not to be confused from Charlie with All Dogs Go to Heaven.
That's a random Charlie to go with.
Charlie.
Did you just watch that recently?
No, just
random.
Then I just remember the little girl always said Charlie. Like, but that's sad because she also played Ducky in. Yeah.
Oh.
That poor
Okay,
girl.
we're not talking about that.
Anyways, moving on. So, I'm gonna give 11 kind of like the experience that she's fought more bigger and greater things than Charlie has, but I do think Charlie has a slightly better offense. Like her fire thing is very deadly. So I don't know exactly who I'm going with here.
Honestly,
I think 11 has a better defense, but I think Charlie has a better offense.
I think 11 is really smart, and I think over time she is able to utilize her abilities really well. However, Charlie does have more abilities. Charlie has mental domination. So 11 hasn't really gone up against too many people who can actually make her see things that are not actually happening, except for maybe Vecna.
Though I have never seen Charlie like project herself into other people's minds and like
she doesn't have to.
But I'm just saying there is.
She can change what you see in the environment.
Yeah.
Charlie also has that fire ability. 11 can move things with her mind. Charlie can generate fireballs from her fucking hands. 11, in order to do that kind of damage to Charlie, would have to pick up something like a van or something and throw it at her. But Charlie can do that too. Charlie has telekinesis. Charlie can also pick up a van and throw it at 11. And Charlie does have a little bit of precognition.
Yeah, she does. Though what I meant is that I think 11 might have the edge here because she can fight you from far away. She fights Vecna from a different state. Like she's not even in like the same town as him. Like she's 2 states away.
Well, for this fight, they're going to be in the same place.
All right. I'm
just because they always are.
I'm just saying it's an edge.
Possibly, but I don't think that would really be like the fight that we have in the show where they're actually like in an arena and they're fighting.
Yeah, she wasn't able to kill Vecna from far away, but she was able to save her friends from far away.
She's able to kind of guide from far away, but she wouldn't be able to kill him and no one would kill her, so that wouldn't count for a fight.
Possibly.
I think ultimately Charlie has more abilities, so Charlie would win. 11 has gone up against some pretty big bads, but a lot of them she hasn't defeated. She just survived, like the Mind Flayer. She survived Vecna.
She also does, I have to admit, has a bit of a team strategy, even when she doesn't want one.
That's true.
Charlie is completely on her
own.
Other than her dad at the beginning of it.
Charlie can be an army of one. Her dad has abilities, but the other thing, too, is 11 suffers from her abilities. Like, 11 will get nosebleeds and pass out. Charlie doesn't.
Yeah, her dad
Charlie has no side effects from her abilities. Her dad does. Mm-hmm. So her dad is a little bit weaker than her. But, yeah, Charlie is the strongest team member and her side of things. She doesn't need backup. 11 a lot of times does.
Yeah, I give it that.
And 11 suffers from her abilities, be it a nosebleed or passing out. If she does anything really like overpowered against Charlie, she's just gonna pass out, and then she's got KO'd.
I think she could take her on from far away, but I don't know if she'd be able to kill her from far away.
It doesn't matter because they're not far away; they're in the same arena.
I think you should always count distance.
Well, for these fights, they're in the same arena. It's a death battle.
Yeah.
So we don't ever have them from states away.
Anytime I've seen death battles, they do arsenal far away and close.
Well,
close combat and distance.
Yeah, if they'd have to be at least close enough to see each other. In that case, Charlie can throw a fucking fireball at her. Anything 11 can do, she can do as well. Plus, she's got other stuff.
Just saying, 11 has the range. Like higher, she has farther.
Does
range.
she?
She has farther range, yeah.
She has farther psychic range, but she has to use the bathtub thing. She has to have all these particular parameters. And the psychic thing, it's not really her, so she cannot hurt them. They can't hurt her, but it's just a psychic thing. She can use it to guide people. She can't use it to fight. So I don't think that's going to have any effect in the fight.
Oh. I think Charlie's more deadly, though.
I'm voting for Charlie. I think it's a close fight. I think 11's a tough customer, but I think Charlie's got this. Also, consider the fact that 11 didn't really start using her abilities on her own until she's like, what, 10? Charlie's doing this when she's like 6.
Yeah.
By the time Kindle comes around, she's pretty well in control of
Seemed
things.
a little older in the remake, but yeah, in the original, she's younger.
She's a baby.
She is. I'm going to give it to Charlie. I think she's a little more deadly.
She's deadly.
I do think
She's
11's range attacks are a little more effective than you say they are, but I don't think they would kill Charlie.
I'm just mean to 11, I guess. I'm just...
It's just how it is sometimes.
She's done some impressive stuff. Like, she always finds a way... I feel like on a lot of her fights, she's the underdog, like with the Demogorgon or everything. She always finds a way, but I think a lot of it is she's got a good team of people with her.
That I do. She has more reason, like she's fighting for them. I do think her telekinesis is slightly stronger, her telekinesis, but Charlie's got the pyrokinesis, and it doesn't affect her at all, like you said. It doesn't.
Exactly. I haven't seen Charlie lift things as heavy as Elle has with her telekinesis.
Or even just as powerful as it must have been to push the Mind Flayer back through a portal. Yeah, that itself is a lot of force.
Moved a train and a van. I've never seen Charlie do that, but Charlie hasn't had to, because Charlie can shoot freaking fireballs.
Like I said, just pushing the Mind Flayer through a portal is a lot of strength, and I think that, if it was just down to their telekinesis, I would give it to 11, but Charlie's got more deadly other attacks than 11 has, so...
That's what I think, dude. All right, I'm going to check in with the chat. Get your votes in now. Charlie versus 11. Firestarter versus Stranger Things. It's not which one you like more. It's who you think is going to kick the most butt. And I'm going to check in with the chat, and then we're going to call it.
Hey, the original Firestarter is awesome.
The original Firestarter is awesome.
Remake, not so much.
Well, that sounds confusing. It kind of is. Oh, yeah, that was me. Phenomena inspired the Clock Tower games. I haven't played those, but I'll have to check it out. The scales will be taped further toward... Okay, Mommy movie fell asleep on the sofa watching. Oh, I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry it's going so long. I'm not asleep. I just look like I am. I completely understand where Willard's coming from, but I don't think that justifies his actions. I agree, Martin.
Oh, yeah. He's
Tenacious
a nice
D.
guy.
Yeah, I saw Tenacious D in concert. Good night, Angela.
I'm actually, if you go get the DVD or Blu-ray of Tenacious D, The Complete Masterworks Volume 2, watch that tour footage, and I'm in the beginning of it.
Mommy says Charlie is hotter.
She's a little hothead. She's spicy.
All right, so I'm calling it, and Charlie wins. She is going into the next round. We have now our main event, and then after this, it goes super fast, super fast.
Imagine, though, if she could toast her egos for her.
Oh!
They would be friends.
Oh, I ship this friendship so hard.
She like toast 11's
I picture it.
egos.
Oh my gosh. Somebody make this happen. Somebody fanfic this.
Like 11 walks out of all badass like she does at the grocery store with all these like things, and they're like, you gotta pay for that, but then Charlie's there and like
they both
toast it like out in the woods and hang out.
They have both survived out in the wilderness. Like 11 survived on like nothing but Hopper bringing her egos, and Charlie camps out with her dad.
Yeah.
So I could see them camping out, and then Charlie's heating up the waffles. Oh, that just warms my heart.
They can make some marshmallows too while they're at it. Oh,
I love it so much.
Make waffle s'mores. Like a chocolate bar and a marshmallow with the 2 egos.
It's typically what happens with these fights, where I'm just like, okay, don't fight, just be best friends.
Most likely they would in most scenarios.
So, our main event tonight, Psychic Girl versus Psychic Girl, Tina Shepard from Friday the 13th, The New Blood, versus Carrie White from Carrie and Carrie remake, not the Rage Carrie 2, even though it's flippin' awesome.
No, you could bring it up for comparable powers.
I guess. All right, so this is Tina Shepard. I think you got this one. And I got all her stats written there.
Oh, you do it. It's your favorite Friday the 13th movie.
It's so good.
I'm not saying it isn't. I know it's your favorite. You do it.
All right, so Tina Shepard is pretty freaking awesome. As a young child, her parents are arguing. She's very upset. She runs outside. Her dad goes to stop her, and her abilities are tied very closely to her emotions. She breaks the dock and accidentally kills her dad. And this is something that follows her for her entire life. She's in therapy and stuff. You know, it's not her fault. Her mom doesn't blame her. But she does have a therapist who's manipulating her. He wants to use her as like a weapon. And she goes back to Crystal Lake to where her father died. And she's trying to bring her dad back, but she ends up bringing back Jason Voorhees, who's been in that lake.
Since Tommy left him there. Chained to the bottom of the lake. Still alive in a sense, but chained to that lake for a long time.
For a psychic, this is a unique ability. Tina can bring people back from the dead. She brings Jason Voorhees back, and ultimately how she destroys Jason Voorhees is she finally does bring her father back, who kills Jason for her.
Ghost dad attack.
He's not a ghost. He's more like a revenant or a zombie.
Yeah,
he has a physical form.
Some ghosts are physical forms.
Have
you seen the movie Ghost? If you use your powers, you can grab things physically.
She's got pretty intense telekinesis. She uses it to throw everything from a flower pot to nails to all these things to kick Jason's ass. She has a small amount of precognition, and she's one of the few people who's actually defeated Jason Voorhees and survived.
And it's a good thing she does have superpowers, because not only she's not the first person to go up against Jason Voorhees, she's not the first person to go up against an undead version of Jason Voorhees, but she is the first person to go up against a pissed off, angry Kane Hodder undead Jason Voorhees. And Kane Hodder takes it up a whole notch on just like
really
brutality
does.
of Jason. Like the first undead
brute.
Jason, CJ Graham, was great, but he was more like, whoa, look at these weird powers that I have. I ripped a guy's arm off without trying. That's funny. And, you know, whatever. He's cool and he's great. But Jason Voorhees as Kane Hodder is just angry, so pissed in at least 3 out of the 4 movies that he played him. He's
definitely the most intimidating I think Jason's ever been.
I don't think the mother issues work on him at that point. He's just angry and will kill you.
And yeah, she puts up a good fight, and ultimately she wins that fight. Okay, so dun 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 dun. That is Tina Shepard, and our final opponent really needs no introduction.
Prom queen herself.
This is Carrie White, who sadly is born with telekinesis and is raised by an overbearing, overly religious, and in the worst way possible mother. So Carrie, like when she's a young girl, she sees a girl sunbathing next door. Her mom thinks that that's completely, sinful. And it upsets Carrie so much that she makes the sky rain stones. Mm-hmm. Rain fucking stones.
Summons meteors.
Big enough boulders that they ruins the roof of her house.
She basically summons meteors.
She grows up and she's the weird girl at school. She's picked on. She doesn't even know what's happening to her when she has her first period, which kind of ignites, it makes her powers a little bit stronger too. But she's bullied horribly at school. One girl takes pity on her and basically sets her up with her boyfriend to go to prom. But the mean girls are not having that. They're going to set her up as prom queen just so they can pour pig's blood on her. And that's the worst freaking thing you can do because her abilities are also tied to her emotions. And at that moment, she kind of loses her mind. She's like outside of her mind. Honestly, Carrie is the victim here and her body just kind of takes over. But she has very strong telekinesis. She is able to maintain holding the doors of the gymnasium closed. She's moving the hose around. She's throwing things around. She's doing a lot of things at once with her telekinesis, which is really impressive. She is telepathic.
She can't really read minds, though.
She can a little bit, especially like in the book.
No, in the book.
But in the book and in the remake as well, when she's dying, Sue Snell actually comes over to her, and without saying anything, she's able to communicate with Sue Snell through her mind.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess at the very end, but most of the book she doesn't even know. Like,
most of the book she doesn't, but she gets more powerful towards the end.
Yeah.
But she is able to communicate with Sue Snell telepathically.
And in the book, she does a lot more damage to the town than just the prom.
I also put down levitation because in the book, as she's doing everything, she's levitating.
Yeah.
She's using her telekinesis to be off the ground.
She even goes and attacks a roadhouse and stuff. There's way more in the book than there is in the movie.
And she's good at sewing. She made her own dress.
But yeah, she is powerful. She snaps. The movie starts with them yelling, throwing tampons at her, telling her to plug it up, and then it ends with them basically turning her into a human tampon who's covered in blood.
Ew.
Did you not get the full circle of everything?
No!
There? That's exactly why.
I'm glad I didn't.
Goes from bleeding and needing tampons being thrown at her to basically being a human tampon. That's kind of the joke that I guess they were going for.
Your movie theory class is upsetting
it
me.
does not work for them to go for that prank. Like, even John Travolta gets horribly killed for this.
Her weaknesses are she has a very scarred psyche. Like I said, she doesn't even really know what she's doing at the end. She kills a lot of people that she cares about because she's not there. She doesn't really come to until she's about on her way home. And it's so sad. She just wants a hug from her mom. And then her mom tries to kill her. Ultimately, her mom does kill her.
Yeah.
She's an abusive mother. She's bullied. Her powers are linked to her emotional state. And she is mortal. There are a little hints, in the remake and stuff that, maybe she'd come back. But as far as the book and the original movie goes, that's just a dream.
Yeah, and Carrie White, this prom queen, is what put Stephen King, on the map. This is the book he almost gave up on, but thankfully his wife convinced him otherwise. It's a great book.
Well, he was told by one of his colleagues, because he was an English teacher, she said, I don't believe that men can effectively write women. And so it kind of started off as a dare. Mm-hmm. He based Carrie White on a couple of different students he'd had over the years. And he's like, yeah, I can write women. And then he got into his own head and thought, I don't know what I'm doing.
About halfway through, he gave up, threw it away, but his wife pulled it out of the trash and said, no, you need to finish this.
You're doing a good job.
And thankfully he did, because it changed Stephen King's life forever.
Exactly. All right, so, dang, those are some very powerful women. I'm going to get this vote up. You start thinking about who you think would win.
Well, it's hard to say because one successfully lived and defeated Jason. One died, but has the ability to summon meteors from orbit. Because
one can bring people back from the dead.
Yeah. Well, it even implies in the end of the Carrie movies that she can bring herself back from the dead because her tomb...
Her tomb, cracks in the remake. But I also don't know, because I think it's kind of trying to do what the Brian De Palma film did, which is where Sue Snell is having a nightmare, and there's a great jump scare. But it didn't happen in the book or anything, so I don't think so. We also have a sequel to Rage Carrie 2. She's kind of a half-sister of Carrie.
Well, even in the original, she grabs the hand.
That's a nightmare that Sue's having.
Oh,
but in the sequel, there's no mention of Carrie ever coming back. She is also the daughter of the same father that Carrie had. They share a father.
See?
Carrie's never come back.
I knew that'd be good for references. Plus, if we're going to go by that one, she can kill you with CDs.
And yes, Tatum, I love the Rage Carrie 2 as well. That movie's awesome.
Yeah, she can kill you with CDs and DVDs.
I don't think it was DVDs yet. I had a movie.
I think it was just CDs. But I think it was just CDs. But hypothetically, if she can kill you with CDs, she can kill you with a DVD.
Focus.
Or Blu-ray.
Focus.
Like I said, one survived, though. One didn't.
This is a good point. However, and the other thing with Tina Shepard, too, she has somebody actively trying to kill her. People are mean to Carrie
but Jason's
at her high school, but nobody was trying to kill her.
Let alone Jason Voorhees.
When she gets home, her mom tries to kill her, but her mom is hardly as strong as Jason Voorhees.
No, and her mom does it with manipulation tactics, because she would always lock Carrie into this closet type thing. Carrie kind of locked her in there, went to prom, but when came back, scaring her mom, and could have easily killed her mom, but decided to go in for that hug and got that fatal...
Carrie's broken psyche is a massive weakness to her.
They did all laugh at her, and her mom was like, oh...
She is very powerful. As a toddler, she made it rain stones.
Exactly. If she can summon meteors, pull fucking comets to Earth with her power, damn.
But Tina Shepard can, with her brain... bring the dead back to life. With her brain.
I know. It's really a toss-up for me.
Carrie has never gone
both.
against anyone as strong as Jason Voorhees. She was overturned by her mother, who was a middle-aged woman. Granted, it's because she manipulates. Carrie is so fucking broken. It's so sad.
She gets pranked, loses her shit, kills two people who actually care about her. A bunch of teachers that are innocent on the whole thing, a bunch of students who, yes, they laugh when she's covered in blood, but for the most part, they're pretty innocent and unexpecting of her powers. The only person I would say that her mom does ultimately kind of kill her at the end. Someone does try to. What's the mean girl does try to hit her with a car.
Her boyfriend tries to hit her with a car.
John Travolta's character, I guess technically. If you're gonna, I don't think they showed that in the original movie, but in the other ones they do show it.
They show it in the original. She has him going to the gas pump.
Okay, yeah, but
that's what sets the whole town on fire.
There's like 3 different versions now in the book, so I'm trying to remember what's what. But either
I
way,
got you.
Whatever. She like there's only people who try to kind of kill her, and it's still kind of a panic, like the rat jumping at the cat type moment. But yeah, Jason Voorhees is a supernatural beast slasher, and she didn't go up against him.
However, I think she could hold her own in a fight against Jason Voorhees, though I honestly think I ship them. They were both bullied horribly. I want them to fall in love.
She just needs to ditch that jock Michael Myers.
I want them to fall in love.
Listen to Jason's friend, who's totally like Freddy Krueger. And just go, like,
not everyone's seen that music video.
There's a really cool music video where
the
happens.
social masochist video.
Yeah, I plan on doing like just these are 10 awesome horror music videos. Hopefully on my channel soon.
Do you think Carrie White could have defeated Jason Voorhees? That's a good question.
I'm gonna say yeah, probably because, I mean.
Actually, I don't think so, because she cannot reanimate the dead, and that's ultimately what killed Jason, was bringing back her dead dad.
I've seen Jason be KO'd by less, though. Like,
it's true.
And if she's gonna pull down, like, power lines... in the book, she wastes the whole town. Like, there's even other Stephen King books where they talk about how that whole town was decimated.
It was.
Like, other books even reference
the fire got out of control.
Yeah, like, the other books talk about it, and they, like, it's a freak thing.
Here's the thing, though. I think, honestly, Carrie would even be killed by her half-sister, because her half-sister's mentally more sound. Carrie is tragic. She is so mentally broken, you know, and she'd so easily be, you know, manipulated or by her emotions, by the people she's around. She is so broken. And I think that's a massive weakness for her. Whereas Tina, she's been manipulated, but she still has enough sense of who she is, of who she can trust. Like, she is aware that she knows from the beginning that her psychiatrist is bad news. She calls him Bad News Cruz. Even before she finds out that he's trying to, you know, use her.
See, I have a hard time understanding exactly how this would play out, because even if we just changed Tina out with Carrie, I don't know if that would be enough of her. Like, I think Carrie was a little kind of meek-minded at that point. If Jason just showed up at, like, some counselor camp where she's getting, like, therapy, I don't know if she would awaken enough to use her powers. It took that pig blood falling on her to really make her snap, and really,
that's true.
She had powers, but she was weak-minded.
Point. Well, that's a good point. Carrie was always taught to conceal her powers. She didn't really even start letting loose at all until she had her period at 16. She had one incident when she was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Nothing, aside from a few little things. And then the Black Prom, but she honestly was taught never to use her abilities. Tina has been practicing her abilities since she was a little kid.
Her stepdad's an asshole, but he's been working with her to use her powers. He wants
her psychiatrist.
Yeah, well, he's moving in on her mom. I guess
No,
he's not her
he's not.
stepdad, but he was like kind of like dating.
No, he's not. Her mom, as soon as she finds out what's up, like, she's all like running away from him. He tries to kill her mom.
It seems like it was implied that before that all happened.
Dude, I don't know.
It doesn't matter because
we have different reads on what's happening there.
It doesn't matter because he pushes her in front of Jason, and then they both.
I'm gonna say Tina's been practicing longer. She has more control over her abilities.
That's what I'm saying. Like, either way, the guy might have been a douche, but he was training her to use her powers.
I'm gonna go with Tina. I think initially I was kind of favoring Carrie for this, but Tina has been practicing since she was 6 years old. She has a lot more control. She's mentally more sound.
Even with her
She has gone against somebody who is undead trying to kill her and defeated him and still maintained her sanity and everything, didn't lose herself. Carrie couldn't handle being bullied at the prom. I mean, that's ultimately what was her undoing. Nobody was trying to kill her. They were trying to humiliate her.
Yeah.
And she was so broken when she got home that her mom was able to kill her. I don't think Carrie has this one. I think she's too broken.
No, I don't think Jason would kill her the same way her mom did. I don't think he could manipulate her.
No.
She wouldn't have her guard down for that. But like I said, unless that incident actually happened the way it did, I don't think she'd have a chance against Jason. Yes, after, like, Okay, randomly, if Jason showed up right after prom did, she might be in full rage mode, and maybe she could defeat him at that point. But if she was in Tina's shoes and went throughout the movie the way the movie played out in Part 7, I don't think she would have had the ability.
Here's the thing, though. I think she would go catatonic. She'd be so stressed that someone's trying to kill her, she wouldn't even know what she was doing. She'd be on pure instinct. Whereas Tina was able to look at her surroundings and go, I'm going to throw that fire pot. Or flower pot. I'm going to use this gasoline. Tina was consciously aware of what was happening. She was able to use her environment, able to throw things at him that were going to do the most damage. Carrie would not be able to do that. She would go catatonic.
I think she might initially throw something at him, but he's a walking corpse that survives everything, and he would keep going, and I don't think she would know what to do after that.
Also, something else to keep in mind. Carrie has been raised in an extremely strict religious environment. Now, Tina, it's Jason Voorhees. Carrie, it's the devil. She is going to be so upset. But if she sees something like that, she's going to think it's the fucking devil. Her mind is warped.
Now, this is also like who would beat who, not who would beat Jason Voorhees. But I just think Tina's got more of her head on her shoulders.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I do think Carrie might actually be stronger overall with her powers, but she doesn't.
I feel like if Carrie had a better upbringing and people who cared about her, and she was meant to, if Carrie had Tina's upbringing, which still isn't great, but it's better than what Carrie had, easily Carrie would win. I think what she's born with is better, but she is so broken
as a person
that she's not going to be able to beat Tina.
And even before she snaps, she's such like this meek-minded person. Like her mom has subdued her and bullies as well as into submission. Where until she snaps with that blood, even though she has powers, she's very meek. Where Tina is strong from the get-go. Even that guy is being scummy. She knows that, and she don't take it with his shit.
Tina has also been told from a young age, you are very powerful. Carrie has been told you are bad, not that you're powerful.
You're the devil's sin, basically.
Yeah, so she's tried to suppress that stuff. So I frankly think Tina's going to get it.
Over-religious,
but I don't think
mom.
the chat agrees with us.
Well, I agree with them in the sense that I think if you're just going straight off their abilities, Carrie probably has the edge.
Well, if you look at the movies, it's definitely scary, but she's going against just high school teenagers who thought they were at a prom and were not at all prepared.
It's actually dangerous to her, too. Those meteors could easily kill her as much as anybody else around her.
Actually, the way she dies in the book is her mom does stab her, but what ultimately kills her is she makes the house collapse in on itself. So she's buried under all the rubble, and she's still slowly dying when Sue Snell comes up to her, and then she uses her telepathy to basically kind of say goodbye to Sue and say kind of like she's sorry that she was out of her brain.
I don't think... Like, as much as I love Carrie, I think the way she dies in even all the movies and the book, it's not the best. Like, that's kind of a cliche with Stephen King. I think there's always something he could have done at the end a little better.
She deserved a better ending.
She kind of went out like Super Shredder, and it was kind of like, oh, that was lame.
I will say that jump scare got me hard.
Yeah.
That one, I read in Dance Macabre, Stephen King's book about movies, he went to see a showing of Carrie, and there are these guys talking through the whole movie in the front row, and as soon as that jump scare happened, they shut the fuck up. They like scream bloody murder.
But yeah, if you really go into other Stephen King books, I believe the Tommyknockers as well, they talk about what happened with Carrie, and like it sounds like even some of them, like firefighters were electrocuted by power lines, and just the fire got way out of control. The whole town was decimated.
All right, so I'm gonna check in with the chat, and then we're gonna call it. Sandy says that Tina was a mental mess.
I think she had issues, but not as bad as
yeah, Tatum, thank you. My channel is at 3,000 hours, about 3,000 hours watch time. I need 4,000 to be monetized, so if you want to watch a video, it would definitely help.
All I think is that Tina was pretty well off for the fact she killed her dad. She was a mess, but in compared to Carrie's mess, not as bad.
Maverick is really interested to see who wins this matchup. Brings a whole other meaning to the words menstrual cycle. Boom.
Like I said, she's
nice,
a
Martin. Nice. I love Martin so much. I think if Martin ever came over, I would just like want to play with his hair.
Like I said, went full cycle.
Play with his hair and talk to him about movies.
He knows what I'm talking about. Full cycle, menstrual cycle. It's exactly what that was. She's a tampon at the end of that movie.
Your adopted horror father is rubbing off on you. I'm so proud of him. Well, I think Carrie has more power. Tina better understands how to control her. So I'm going with Tina. See,
That's
Martin?
kind of our logic here.
We raised him right.
I'm not saying she would necessarily win, and there's just stipulations and all the things would be a factor, but
Tatum, I think Rage Carrie 2 would be good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one of just my picks because nobody voted on the last one. We'll see on the Patreon. I'll check in on it. I wish I could use that when someone hurts me and use that power.
No, yeah.
Who Rage Carrie 2? I like her. Shoot, I can't remember the name of the actress, but I do like her.
It also had what's her name from American Beauty in it.
Yeah, Mina Suvari's in it, and then the guy from Home Improvement's in it.
Oh yeah.
And one of the
I think it's an underrated.
The two twins. One of them's in Mallrats, and then there's another one. One of those two.
I want to say that Carrie 2 and Pet Sematary 2 are sequels to Stephen King movies that are a little underrated.
I agree entirely. Fun fact, Tina and Dr. Cruz come back for the new Jason fan film. I did see that, Roseblood.
Yeah.
I think Carrie would wreck Jason 1 to 4. I think she'd stop zombie Jason but not kill him. Carrie will kick Jason ass. Tina's more headstrong, though. All alternative facts. Tina's mom and the doctor. Maybe. I don't know. I missed that. Tina all the way, but I voted for Carrie by mistake. Kal-El, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. I think Carrie's too weak-minded to beat Tina. Carrie has to be full rage mode, and even then she has no self-control. That's exactly what we're saying. For once, we actually agree. Mm-hmm. Carrie can control the weather. She can make stones fall from the sky, but she doesn't actually control the weather in the rest of the movie.
I mean, hypothetically,
Torch
she
Breyer
might
voted
have
for
some
Tina.
ability, but I don't know. I'm not going to say she couldn't. That's for
Carrie was poetic in a way. Movie was scary. Gory B. Yay. Honestly, they're both a mess. Different circumstances. Tina probably was more mess, had years to work through it. Tina had therapy and stuff. She had a lot more support. And I agree. Yeah, she just snapped. I feel for her more. Yeah, I feel for Carrie. I think Carrie is the victim of her story entirely.
They set out to fuck with her. Her mom was a horrible person to her.
Tina's more of a heroic story where you're like, yeah! Finally somebody that isn't just going to take it from Jason. Somebody who doesn't have to pretend that they're his mom or something, who can actually fight him, toe to toe. But Carrie is just really sad. It's tragic.
Plus, we all know Ghost Dad gonna put you to rest, yo.
Whenever you say Ghost Dad, I think of Bill Cosby.
And he gonna put you to sleep, ain't he?
All right, well, we both lost out on this one. It is Carrie White who's gonna go against her Stephen King sister.
I don't think they're wrong. I had my reason for my voting.
Sister. I don't think they're wrong.
I don't think anybody's wrong. I don't think
we all have to agree about stuff.
I do think
Nobody said we have to agree in the Gory Hole.
Exactly.
The Gory Hole is home to weirdos. And that means we're all different, and we don't always agree with each other, but we're all welcome here.
I just want to point that out.
All are welcome in the Gory Hole.
I could see why Carrie would win.
Good night, Martin!
I voted for Tina for my reasons, but I could see why Carrie would win.
Okay, so now it goes a lot faster.
This one's going to be hard, though. This one's like OP versus OP.
Swamp Thing versus Brandon from Brightburn. Shit. I mean, a lot of people say Swamp Thing is one of the most powerful characters in the DC-verse.
He is.
A lot of people say that he could even defeat Superman.
That's why I think I don't really know.
He's vulnerable to pollution and the weakening of the green. I don't know if Brandon's smart enough to do these things.
I think Captain Planet would have a better chance, but yeah, I think Swamp Thing's gonna initially be his Swamp Thing self, and he's gonna be like, Brandon, you're making a big mess in my swamp, and I don't fucking like it. And Brandon Burns gonna use his laser vision to piss off Swamp Thing even more. Swamp Thing's gonna fight him. I think Brandon's gonna take out that initial body, but I do think Swamp Thing is all the green. He is all the earth. He can be anything what he wants. He will eventually break Brandon Breyer down. But then again, I don't know for a fact what Brandon Breyer's weakness is other than his own shit, but I don't know if Swamp Thing would use his shit. That's not Swamp Thing's style to, use a man-made object as a weapon like that.
Here's the thing that Brandon is going to crush through a lot of his body but how is he going to kill him? How do you kill Swamp Thing?
I find it almost a stalemate on how they're going to kill each other.
The only thing that's ever actually killed Swamp Thing is at one point he used all the power from the green and it killed himself. But then he regenerated.
Like I said, he restarted the universe. Yes, was
He's kind of like Doctor Who, so even if he dies, he still can make another body and come back.
Technically, he had Zatanna's help when the whole universe was being erased, and he went into the being that was eating the universe and regenerated it. But the fact that he had the power to regenerate the entire universe, that he had help making it happen, but once it was regenerating, that was all him. I don't know. I think in the long haul, Swamp Thing wins this somehow, but God, it's a long, hard fight where
it would be a hard fight.
I don't see how, like, it's going to take a long time to get to the point where either of them are really in any danger of losing.
So here's the thing with Swamp Thing. His body is not his body. Swamp Thing is essentially a consciousness in the green. His body died. He was a chemist. His body died, and now he is basically part of nature. So you could destroy his body. He can make another one just like that. He can have 80 bodies. He can be the size of a mountain. So destroying his body with lasers is really not a big deal. That is an inconvenience to Swamp Thing.
I just want to say, though...
Swamp Thing can also heal from it because he's invulnerable. So he would just use the plant matter to close the hole. It would really not... It would be an inconvenience.
As overall as I think that Swamp Thing could take Superman, could Superman at least get a KO?
Well, we're talking about Brandon, not Superman.
I know, but hypothetically, because they have the same basic powers from what we've seen.
Brandon's way more unhinged.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying...
Kryptonite is different than the ship.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I'm not worrying about what could beat Superman or Brandon Breyer here. I'm just saying, with those powers, you think they can get a KO.
Here's the thing. Brandon has one body. One body. All Swamp Thing needs to do is knock out that one body.
It is a pretty invulnerable body, though.
Swamp Thing can have 100 bodies. Swamp Thing can project his consciousness to the bottom of the ocean. Swamp Thing can project his consciousness to a body on another planet.
Yeah.
He's used plants from other planets before.
I know. I'm just saying, do you think Brandon could get a KO? Not kill him, but KO him.
I don't know. Swamp Thing is really OP.
Brandon's OP in a different way. His body, he might only have one, but it's very invulnerable.
But he needs that body to be alive. Swamp Thing does not need a body. It's just a shell.
Now, I have no idea 100% on this because we only have the one movie to go off of and he never went to space. But if he were like Superman, Brandon Breyer could live in space, hypothetically.
Swamp Thing can live in space.
He can live on other planets. I don't know if he can live in, like, actual space because you need...
He's self-sustaining.
But trees do need oxygen in a sense.
Okay, well, they're on Earth anyway. Don't make it so complicated.
I'm just pointing it out. I'm not even saying sure who I'm voting for yet. I don't even know.
I don't know either. We're talking it through.
I'm preaching out some doubt.
By the way, my youngest brother, Devin, is here. Everyone say hi to my baby brother.
Sup, Devin?
He's not a baby. He's an adult, but he's my youngest brother. So we're just going to call him my baby brother.
Sup, Devin?
Yay, both my brothers and my mommy are here. Yay. So it's me, then Sigma, my alien brother, and then my youngest brother, Devin. He's like the Maryland. He's just Devin.
Yeah.
I think Swamp Thing's pretty OP.
How is he going to knock out Brandon, though? Or kill him?
He just needs a piece of a ship.
But Swamp Thing doesn't know that. And he can't Google that fucker.
He is really smart, though.
Yeah, but not like where he would know that. That's like kind of out of his...
He's a chemist.
That's out of his index, though.
He would know that that's a foreign alien metal. Chemists know about metals and shit.
Do they know that it's going to hurt Brandon? It's kind of a...
Maybe not.
His mom finds out by accident. Like, she realizes, oh, shit, because he touches it, it cuts him. Most people wouldn't, like, put that conclusion together.
Okay, better question. How does Brandon get a KO on Swamp Thing? Because I know Swamp Thing, there's a lot of chances where he could... Swamp Thing would know that there's alien metal in the Earth. Because Swamp Thing is telepathically communicated to grass, trees, everything. So anything on Earth, he would be able to sense there is something that doesn't belong here. He would know where that ship is. He may not know that it would hurt Brandon, but he would know they're connected.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, he's never tried to use Superman's ship against him. Superman had his own ship.
That's the part that gets complicated. But the question is, how does Brandon hurt something?
I'm wondering that too. I just started with the other question first. It doesn't mean that I wasn't going to ask this in return.
He can regenerate pretty much anything. He's nigh invulnerable. And Brandon's not as smart as Swamp Thing. He could have like 80 different Swamp Things. Brandon would not know which one to get.
I'm just saying, if there's a forest fire, does it hurt Swamp Thing? Yeah, but does it hurt Brandon? No. I think he just dances in the fire and laughs, naked.
Ew!
His clothes would burn.
Gross, Dan. He's a child.
Not like that. Just like the wild things grow.
So this is Swamp Thing from the Wes Craven movie, from the Derek Mears show, and Return to Swamp Thing versus Brandon Breyer from Brightburn, who's essentially the horror version of Superman.
I'm just saying, Brandon Breyer could start a forest fire with his eye lasers.
Swamp Thing can fly if he wants to. He can get wings, so they can both fly. He can get armor. He can grow whatever armor he wants. He can change his body to a massive size. If he's the size of a mountain, how is Brandon going to hurt him?
By scorching the earth. And Swamp Thing, in a sense, losing by retreat. I don't know. I don't think either of them could kill each other. I'm just saying Brandon might be able to scorch the earth to the point where Swamp Thing backs the fuck off. He's... Sometimes, like, also, he gives less of a damn. If Brandon Breyer's in the city, Swamp Thing's not even going to try and fight him.
They're not going to be out.
They have to fight because of this.
They have to be out, like, in the woods.
They have to fight for this situation.
Brandon lives out in the country, so let's say near Brandon's house is where they're fighting.
I'm just saying, if Brandon scorched the earth, Swamp Thing might just back off. He wouldn't want any more damage to happen to the green.
Possibly.
That is his personality.
But if Brandon has the potential to end the world, Swamp Thing cares about the world. This is a fight he'd care about. I do not think he's going to let this kid destroy the earth.
There's been times where he backed off on lesser things that, like, were still causing damage.
I think he could whoop this kid. He is not going to let some alien wasp boy come here and destroy the earth and the green, which would destroy him. He's not going to let that happen. If Brandon destroys the earth, it would destroy Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's not going to let that happen.
All right. I'm going to give it the edge to Swamp Thing because I think... Especially once Brandon tries to eliminate all mankind and so his people can come over and take over the earth, Swamp Thing will get serious before that part happens. Because he won't want people coming over to take over the earth. He won't want these new beings of Brandon Breyers to show up. I don't know exactly how he knows how to kill Brandon Breyer, but he might...
I don't know how he'd figure out how to kill him.
But then again, like, the thing was, we've never seen...
he is a chemist, though, and a biologist, so he might study Brandon.
He might. And
he could get some of his blood somehow and study him.
He could follow him without him knowing. Because even though the plants don't technically have eyes, they still see and hear things for Swamp Thing. It would be a long, weird, strategy-ass fight. I'm just giving it just barely to Swamp Thing because...
Way smarter than Brandon.
He is, which... Though Brandon is, that we talked about, is kind of genius level for his age, but he's also very cocky for his age, and that is a problem.
His wee little baby age.
Yeah, he's very cocky too, and unfortunately, I don't think something like Swamp Thing is exactly what he's ready for. I think in his actual physical form, like, in his humanoid form, Brandon Breyer would burn
Swamp
that
Thing
up.
can beat Superman.
Hypothetically. They've never gotten to the point where Superman was trying to just straight up destroy the Earth. So, evil Superman, he might be able to blow up the Earth and kill Swamp Thing.
I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm leaning towards Swamp Thing.
I am, but just so slightly.
I'm not going to vote yet, but I'm going to check in with the chat.
They might be able to convince us.
Maybe they have a good argument. Sometimes they do.
I don't have a convincing argument for either at this point. That's my problem.
I have all the arguments.
Yeah,
all right.
That's all you ever have.
I like arguing. It's a thing I enjoy.
I know. You were in debate class for a reason, right?
I love debate class. JJ isn't allowed in the Gory hole. He doesn't deserve good things. Oh, he did choose that Neil Breen movie, so yeah. Brandon, period. I don't know. Arkham Knight Rider's here. Weed Killer. Weed Killer wouldn't do shit. You'd have to use, like, toxic waste. Brandon could just burn Swamp Thing with his laser eyes. He can make more bodies.
But he could set the whole forest on fire and scorch the earth.
Good night, Mummy.
And if anything, then Swamp Thing would be very weak in that area, that terrain that's scorched earth.
Yay, Devin's here.
But that wouldn't kill
Have
Swamp
there been
Thing.
any Swamp Thing Superman fights in the comics?
Yeah, but they're all group battles, like, where there's more than one people on each side, so it's hard to say. That's my point. I think Brandon Byrne could scorch the earth hypothetically, and Swamp Thing would be too weak to fight him in that area. Does that kill Swamp Thing? No, but it does cause him to retreat, so I could kind of see Brandon winning a fight for that reason.
Axon says Swamp Thing could drag him deep into the earth.
And keep him in there.
He could.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't... Those would have to be some really strong roots, but I guess if there was enough of them, they could. I'm not saying it would work, but I'm also saying it wouldn't work.
Brandon can only be killed with pieces from his sharp.
That we know
Swamp
of.
Thing was a biologist and a chemist, though, so he would understand that that's an alien element. He could test Brandon. All he needs is, something from him that has his DNA.
That is the only weakness we know of, but hypothetically, because we've never seen Brandon take on anything stronger than a human.
And we just need him KO'd. So if you pull him into the earth, that's enough for a KO.
Molten lava.
Molten lava. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if that would hurt
maybe.
him or not. It's hypothetical at this point.
Devin knows what's up. Brandon would have to toast the whole earth. I agree, because as long as there's plant matter on Earth, Swamp Thing's alive, because his consciousness doesn't belong to any one body.
But I've seen Swamp Thing in certain areas be weakened in that area where he kind of just backs off or comes back later to regrow that area. But it takes him a while. If scorched earth was happened, like Brandon literally scorched the earth on fire, because forest fires happen even though in a universe where Swamp Thing exists.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Yes, Smokey the Bear is talking about that. But I said, even in the DC universe where Swamp Thing exists, forest fires happen. He can't just magically make forest fires not happen.
Let me finish checking on the chat, and then we'll make our decisions. I haven't decided yet. Swamp Thing can die in many different ways. Brandon also flies to a skyscraper at the end of the movie with ease and destroys it. That's a skyscraper. That's not like a mountain.
He destroys
or
the whole
earth.
school, too, like a big school.
Swamp Thing was killed by a napalm bomb once. He didn't stay dead.
Yeah.
This is true.
But it's still KO.
His body grew on another planet. It would count as a KO. He won't beat Brandon. The only way he can die is using a part of his ship. Swampy could get hooked up with that white lantern power also. Yeah, he can use all the power of the green. It would destroy himself, though, as well, so it would be a double KO.
Yeah. And that doesn't help us.
Y'all acting like Swamp Thing is Lex Luthor. 101 in a room, Brandon would spank his ass. I have them outside, like, the farm area where Brandon lives.
I guess if they were really in a place where there's no vegetation, Brandon would have the upper hand. Like, if they were on some platform in space.
Superman can be anyone. Arc is that he always holds back. God cheers, but he's still not Superman. He's Brandon Breyer. He is a lot more mentally unstable. He is not as worldly. He hasn't had.
He's closer to Zod than he is to
he's
Superman.
not quite Superman.
He's more like Zod, I guess. But Zod got his neck snapped by Superman. So there you go.
Brandon's ship is pretty much gone, so there's no hope in ending his wrath. His laser beams cut the roots when they try to drag him. I don't know. We'll make our votes and I'm gonna call it. I haven't decided.
It's hard, man. Like I said, Swamp Thing's pretty omnipotent in the comics.
Omnipotent?
But I don't know enough about Brandon Breyer to, like, straight up say he would lose.
I do know people have said that if anyone was going to have a decent fight against him, it would be Superman. But it hasn't happened yet.
Swamp Thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, even Aquaman, like, sucked out all the M-word moisture from Superman and, like, KO'd him. So, he's been beaten by other people. When they have, like, kind of fought, like, in Injustice and stuff, it's a team battle.
See, the other thing, too? Okay, so check this out. Brandon Breyer is vulnerable to the metal of his ship from his planet. Swamp Thing can go to other planets.
It's possible.
He can get more of that metal.
He could. Still, even though I know he
could also just go to that kid's planet just to study those beings.
True. But like Kryptonians, they might have different abilities on different planets and different weaknesses on different planets.
Possibly.
Kryptonians
But they
aren't
sent him there to
Superman
take over the Earth. So I'm assuming his story is different.
It's more, his story's a little more like Goku, but his powers are more like Superman. But he obviously...
I'm going with Swamp Thing. Screw Brandon. Swamp Thing!
Like I said, I give the edge slightly to Swamp Thing. He regrew the entire universe.
My thought also is Swamp Thing isn't attached to any one body. Brandon needs his body to survive.
If it was a one-body battle, Brennan would win. But I don't know.
But Swamp Thing isn't even really a body. He's a consciousness.
It's hard to say.
Are you going to vote so I can call it?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna vote. Calm down.
Vote. Okay, so I'm calling it as soon as he votes. I'm going to catch up on these. Swamp Thing's only powerful depending on what the environment is around him. Brandon's powerful anywhere. There's always some kind of plant life. And we are doing this battle outside. But there's always plant life. Always.
That's a good argument, though. If they were fighting just in the vacuum of space, I think Brandon...
Maybe the vacuum of space. I don't know if Brandon can survive the vacuum of space, so he needed a ship to get here.
I don't know. We've never seen him in space.
He needed a ship to get here. That kind of implies that he can't.
Well, I mean, that would say the same thing about Superman, and Superman can.
Well, I don't know. You need the Phoenix to beat Brandon. It would be war games. The Earth is destroyed. Nobody wins. I think that could happen. Danny, you're so sweet, and you don't argue. He argues plenty. Oh, the disrespect. No, Danny and I argue plenty. The passion. It's fight night. We're gonna fight. There's no wrong answer.
No, like I said, I could see them both. That's my problem, is I actually have a hard time seeing either of them kill each other.
I don't know if they can. Swamp Thing, you can't really kill him. You could KO him.
Yeah, and I hypothetically think Brandon Breyer could be KO'd as well, but...
I do think, worst case scenario, he would use all the power of the green.
Well, I voted...
That does kill him.
I voted, and all it is tied at this moment, so I guess whoever breaks the tie...
Crap!
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. If someone breaks the tie, there's your winner.
Why did I just make it a tie, Dan? Jeez. Gory, you should go for 4 hours tonight, please, or longer. I will go when we are done with the fights. I feel like the fight is mainly one-sided due to only putting the fight in Swamp Thing's environment. It's not Swamp Thing's environment, it's Earth. I mean, even if they're inside a building, there's plants outside. So... yeah, I never picture these fights being inside a room. But even then, Swamp Thing can pull plant matter through the windows and stuff. I'm picturing this fight taking place on the farm where Brandon lives, which means there would be plenty of plant life. But I honestly don't think he would need it. He's pretty invulnerable on his own. He can regrow back his limbs and such. I'm defending him. Superman's powers are the sun. Brandon's powers are not from the sun, though. I think they're largely connected to his ship. And the sun reaches his, so I assume it's the same for Brandon. Brandon's powers are ignited by his ship. He's a lot different. He's sent by they're kind of like wasps. They send him, like they did with Goku, to our planet to take it over. So he's connected to his ship. His ship activating is what activates his powers. So, yeah, but then his ship is kind of destroyed at the end. Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be the yellow sun like Superman. I think Swamp Thing will repeatedly be killed and keep coming back, so Brandon would win a KO. I don't know. I think there are ways he could win, but I'm not convinced yet that he could get him to a KO before Swamp Thing could get Brandon to a KO. Okay, we gotta vote for Brandon Breyer. That was close, guys. That was close. Brandon Breyer is going in to the semifinals. Dun, 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 dun. You are the winner, Brandon. Congratulations. Tatum, we do not manipulate the votes. He won fair and square. Just barely. Swamp Thing is badass, guys. Swamp Thing. All right.
Who won?
Brandon won.
Oh, well, damn.
He got a vote, and so I called it.
All right.
All right, now it's Boone versus Sammy from Trick or Treat. All right, do you need a refresher? So Aaron Boone, immortal. I need more sleepy time. I need more beverage.
Here, have another beer.
I can't have Dr. Pepper because it squirts all over me. It does. So sad. All right, I'm going to put a straw in it. Why does putting a straw in stuff make it fizz more?
Only when you do it.
Okay. So Boone is immortal. So we're gonna have to go to KO. Superhuman strength and agility, regenerative healing. He's a shapeshifter, superhuman senses, reanimation, dreams, premonitions. He's got sharp teeth and a psychic link to Midian. Really doesn't have a lot of weaknesses.
We don't know exactly how immortal that means. That vampires are immortal, but they have to be killed.
He commits suicide and reanimates in the morgue.
Yeah, but I think if with his connection to Midian, he's weakened in a sense when Midian is destroyed.
I agree.
So I mean, you could technically kill him, but like you said, we only need to go to KO anyways.
There's Sammy. So Sammy can travel through electricity. He can control electricity, and as long as his tapes exist, his final recording exists, he really can't be killed. He can, have like a little demon form, which to Boone is just like, well, I'm a demon too.
I don't think his manipulation and like subliminal music is going to work on Boone.
It's not going to work on Boone.
But I'm having a hard time thinking how Boone could defeat him, because the way that they defeated Sammy in the movie is not Boone's style at all. Like, I think Boone would not go that approach.
Yeah, Boone's not going to destroy his recording.
And he's not going to try and trap him in a car, because that's just not how Boone would work, I don't think. I honestly think Sammy might have this. Like, at least to a KO. I think he might electrocute him into ash in a sense. I don't know if he would turn to ash, but I think it would stop him enough to where he was
I was initially thinking Boone too, but this is just to a KO, and I think Sammy, I don't know if he could turn Boone to ash.
He might just be charred.
I think he could electrocute him enough to where he has a charred body that's passed out for a few hours. Boone would reanimate. So it's just a KO.
Even if it was a night or two.
I don't think Boone is going to go, like, messing with, like, he's just not that involved in, like, the human civilian world.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that he would do those type of strategies.
I agree with you.
And as I'm
gonna vote.
The movie kind of hints that Sammy's not even gone with those strategies.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking Boone, but I think you're right. I'm gonna go with Sammy.
I don't know. Boone is a cooler dude, and maybe
I like Boone a lot more.
His leather jacket suggests that he might be hip enough, but I don't know.
I mean, Boone has a lot of people who could help him, but this is Boone on his own.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
He's a little too straightforward in a fight, which is usually a good thing.
He's not stupid. I could see him researching, but is he going to do that before Sammy zaps him? And I don't think his body would completely disintegrate. I think he'd be charred.
I think he would be charred to the point where he loses the fight.
Crispy critter, passed out for a few hours, and then he'd come back.
Few hours, even maybe a few days.
After a while, he would do it because he's just going to keep coming back, even if he destroys one recording. But to KO, Sammy's got this.
Honestly, I think Boone would be charred for more than a few hours. I think it'd probably be a night or two, but either way, Sammy walks away with his hand raised, is what I'm saying.
All right, I'm going to check on the chat and we're going to call it. You better vote.
Yeah, vote.
Okay, the best friends are close. Cal-El knows what's up. Cal-El also knows I love to argue. I think that's one of my finer qualities.
You're very argumentative.
You've been married to me for 10 years. You must not have a problem with it.
I understand that this is how it is. This is life now.
That was a good fight. I love it when it's a good fight, and I'm not sore that the person I picked didn't win. You guys have good arguments, too. More Dr. Pepper. I need more Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, what's the worst that could happen? It's going to spray everywhere, Rich. It's going to spray everywhere. It's going to attack me. I really want some, though.
So the animals are always in here licking the carpet.
I think I need to put it in a glass, maybe, and it won't erupt. Because when I have it in a glass, it doesn't do that. Superboy Prime would wreck Brandon. Yeah. Thank you, Danny, for taking good care of my girl. She's incredible. Can he still exist in sunlight after his transformation? You know, he is in the sunlight. There's a part where they're kind of like arrested by the cops, and he's dragged by the cops out into the sun, and he doesn't seem to be hurt. There are some of the Nightbreed that cannot. Babette is, she finds herself outside when it's sunlight, and they need Lori.
Wait, he didn't use his form, though, did he? Like his one form?
No, but he could survive. There are some Nightbreed that would die.
I don't think he can use that form, is what I'm saying.
I don't think he can either, but for the purpose of this, it's going to be at night. I've never seen Sammy outside during the day either.
That's true. I mean, I think Sammy could technically be in the day, but they're both night owls, so we're just going to say
night boys.
They like to fight at night.
I keep telling them on Sammy before. I've never seen Sammy actually, so I'll wait until you need to watch Trick or Treat. Oh my god, you would love that movie. I don't know how to vote on this. I need to watch Trick or Treat. Yeah, you do. More Dr. Pepper. Stop pushing me. Arguing the point is the whole point of the fight. Yes, it is. I'm saying Sammy, guys. It's just to KO. I think the beauty of being Boone is you're immortal. So he would die and he'd come back after a day or two after he recovers. In the long run, I think Boone could defeat Sammy, like actually kill Sammy. Because he has eternity.
There was plans for a sequel. Never got it. But it seems like without Midian that they are a little more vulnerable, and therefore Boone maybe would have been more vulnerable because you would need drama for said movie anyways.
It doesn't matter. In this, he has Midian, but Sammy's still gonna get that KO, guys. It's just, he has
more destructive power. That's what I'm chalking it up to. His attacks are more destructive and more powerful.
Yeah, he's gonna get the KO, and that's all he needs to win this fight. I do think overall Boone would be able to kill him. I don't think Sammy can kill Boone.
I think if there was a movie...
this is a fight to KO.
If there was a movie, Boone would find out about Sammy's weakness somehow, but this ain't a movie, so he doesn't know it, and therefore just wouldn't magically start breaking records he doesn't know even exists. Yeah,
Did you vote?
I voted.
All right, there's nothing in the chat to look at. I love you too, Tatum. All right, 5, 4, get your votes in. 3, last chance. 2, hurry up. 1, rock out!
Both of these fucking movies rock. I mean, Nightbreed is a better movie. But
Nightbreed's a much better movie. I love Trick or Treat, though.
Trick or Treat's just... Was it Ragman? Was that the original title?
Oh, I don't know if that was even original.
That's
the working title.
Yeah, that's the working title. Because I know they show it in the credits.
Yikes. Brandon and Sammy will be fighting in the semifinals. Have a feeling how that's going to go.
Oh, God. I don't want to worry about it right now.
These are getting a little easier. I'm going to start getting your next one ready for you. So, Danny Torrance versus Jennifer from Phenomena.
This one's interesting as well.
You never think about it, but...
Until it happens, and then you're like, oh, wait.
Don't wiggle your chair. Just give me a second.
Rest.
Yeah. It's just hard to type because I can't see over the mic.
Sorry, I didn't notice your arm was on the
It's fine, honey.
Well, let's put it this way. Jennifer is probably acceptable to those ghosts, and I don't think her bugs can help her from those ghosts. However, Danny's definitely acceptable to bugs.
Susceptible?
Acceptable to insects. I'm sure those could definitely kill him. Though...
He has a squishy meat body. She has a squishy meat body. But insects aren't going to hurt her. And the ghosts...
They could kill her. They're very
She's kind of against, like, that guy who was the serial killer. He was, like, all kinds of, like, messed up.
Yeah, but he ain't a ghost. He ain't supernatural. Danny has good rifle skills and supernatural ability.
She has a chimpanzee with a knife.
All right. Well, the chimpanzee takes the bullet for her when he tries to shoot her.
I don't know. Danny's not in the best shape.
Yeah, but she's not physically, like, you know.
Dude, she's a teenage girl. She's, like, in great shape.
As we said earlier, there was going to be slapping between her and Crispin Glover.
This isn't going to be a very good fist fight. So it comes down to ghosts versus insects.
Danny would take her in a fist fight.
I will say in movies like Amityville Horror, insects don't seem to have a problem with the supernatural. In fact, they seem to be attracted to it. So I don't think his ghosts are going to do anything against her bugs.
Well, not to her bugs, but I don't think her bugs can block her from ghosts.
No, but a lot of the ghosts can't do that much. Like, physically.
When he unleashes them all, they're pretty dangerous. They're like almost a zombie swarm. But they can go through things. Like bugs, if they want to go through bugs.
All she has to do to stop them, though, is to stop him with her bugs. So, a swarm of wasps, that's gonna... He cannot concentrate if he's being stung by wasps.
That's my problem here, because it's honestly just an ultimate of who kills who with their thing first. If the bugs get him first, he's dead. If the ghosts get her first, I think she's dead. It's kind of a flip of the coin on just who pulls the trigger on their...
So what do you think would be faster?
It's hard. You can't really race a ghost, in a sense, but bugs are quick. They eat quick. Though they weren't super quick. It took her a whole movie to kill a serial killer with bugs. It took him a whole book or movie to kill a swarm of energy vampires with ghosts, but still...
So who's gonna shoot first, so to speak?
It's kind of, that's what it comes down to, and honestly, for me, this is a flip of the coin. Because
Danny has to use mental energy to unlock the ghosts from their caskets. But then she also has to summon the bugs, which we're going to take a little bit to get there.
It takes a little bit of time for her to do that. Once
and
they're
she needs
there,
a massive swarm to do a lot of damage.
Which tires her out. Him unlocking ghosts does not tire him out. It takes a little time to do it, but once he has it planned, he's a better strategist, I want to point that out, than she is. She kind of is on the whim with hers, but he actually strategizes against the whole nest of vampires.
Probably not going to be super prepared for something supernatural.
No, probably not. I don't think he's going to be prepared for bugs either, to be fair. I don't think Danny thinks that some girl's going to throw a swarm at him.
This is a tough one.
I'm not really sold on either. They're both squishy body. I do think in a fist fight, yes, Danny would probably win. He does have a bit of a dad bod, but I think he's still stronger than Jennifer. I don't think either of them would want to kill each other in a hypothetical sense, but we have to say they are trying to for the sake of this fight.
Hey, we convinced Rich on Sammy. Yeah, we debate the best. Danny, but I like the girl from Dr. Sleep better.
Abra? We tried to put her in here.
We tried.
You guys picked Danny over Abra. We put her and, think Rose the Hat.
A dad bod. It'd be who draws first. Ghosts are faster, says Cal-El.
They very well
Tatum agrees.
I can't measure the speed of a ghost, so... You can measure the speed of a bug. It'd be quick, but I don't know if you can measure the speed of a ghost.
Honestly, he could... I don't know.
Ghosts can do what they want. Sometimes they're quick,
he also
sometimes
doesn't
they're
have
slow.
as much control over them once they're unleashed.
No, but when he did unleash them, he didn't have control over them. They killed who he wanted them pretty quickly.
But she has essentially the equivalent of the shine, so they're gonna want her.
Yeah.
In their world,
exactly.
She has the shine.
If she can control bugs, they're gonna be a good feast. They're gonna go straight for her.
And she's so sweet and innocent. She's probably gonna get taken. All right, I'm going with Danny.
I'm gonna go with Danny because he is a better strategist. That's all. I think when it comes to
he's lived a little bit more.
He's lived a little bit more, and like I said, he strategized a big giant plan to take out energy vampires, where she survived a serial killer. She didn't strategize on how to kill him. She
was surprised by it.
Exactly.
She survived, but ghosts is another thing altogether. Maybe if we got her at his age.
Maybe.
But we never get to see that.
Exactly.
And she also doesn't have a lot of killer instincts. She never tries to kill anybody.
And the vampires is a new thing for Danny, but he still adapts and he strategizes a way to take them down. He's only at that point used to ghosts. He didn't even know there was vampires that suck your energy.
So Mommy makes a good point here. She says bugs can be killed, ghosts are already dead. That's a very good point.
It is.
What Danny, though, kid versus a teen, Danny versus a teen. I mean, I guess you could, in your head, do it as Danny's a teen versus her.
You could.
That movie was in the 80s.
He gets the lockbox powers at a young age. He gets it basically right after The Shining ends. Because his mom moved to Florida and he's being haunted, so he gets one last gift.
Cast your vote and then I'm calling it.
All right.
Who'd you vote for?
I went with Danny.
Danny mopped it up, but I do think it would be a close fight.
I think if they fought a bunch of times, the bugs would get a bunch of victories, but I think more likely the ghosts would have the edge.
Danny is going to the semifinals. I'm surprised. I didn't think Danny would do this well, honestly.
Yeah, you almost I didn't think he'd be. You thought he was boring and should be replaced. I wanted to put
Abra in there because I didn't think he could hold his own.
We tried, but they wanted Danny, and honestly, Abra doesn't have. She does learn that trick at the end.
I'm surprised though.
He teaches her at the end of that trick, but she doesn't have ghosts that she uses them for. So
let's get the semifinal set up. Charlie versus Carrie. I'm going with Charlie.
They both have very strong offense.
They both have telekinesis, but Charlie also can shoot fucking fireballs. They believe that when Charlie's older, she can basically cause a nuclear event that would split the world in two. Mm-hmm. Nobody's making these kind of predictions about Carrie, who they're lucky that they honestly didn't have a lot of high aspirations for her.
I want to say hypothetically, if Carrie can summon asteroids, she could also end the world. But that would not win her this fight. That would kill her and everybody too. Charlie, I think, and also Charlie's fire is quicker and faster than any asteroid that Carrie could summon.
Think about this. Charlie has mental domination. Carrie is a very fragile-minded person. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, all she'd have to do is have Jesus in the room and Carrie's dead.
She'd distract her with
her mother.
Now, would Charlie know distract her with some of these things. Maybe not, but she could still distract her regardless.
Charlie's pretty smart, but even then, she could distract her with any thing.
Any scenario.
Anything. You know, even a boy from school, bullies from school. It wouldn't be hard. Just about anything's going to upset
Charlie can
Carrie.
make you think you killed her when you haven't actually killed her.
Exactly.
Rainbird thought that he killed her because of that, and then he realized, wait, no, that was just a fake mind.
Charlie also has some precognition. She might have a premonition telling her some of the things that Carrie is vulnerable to.
And in the book, doesn't Rainbird have more powers than what they show in the movie?
If she gets a premonition showing her, even just the period scene, recreating that to Carrie is going to trigger her. Now, that will put Charlie in a dangerous position, but the most Carrie can do is move things with her mind. Charlie can do that too. Charlie can also shoot fucking fireballs at her.
Which I say is quicker than summoning meteors or even moving power lines and other things that Carrie does. Her attacks are a little slower.
And like I said before, Carrie goes kind of catatonic when she's attacking the prom. She's not quite there. Charlie is fully aware after her father dies what she is doing to the agents at the shop. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Now, I want to be fair on this. I think Carrie has potential to win this fight. I do think this is a very close fight. Someone with a speeding car tried to crash into Carrie and she stopped it. I think she does have the potential to stop fireballs as well. I just think...
How's she going to stop a fireball?
The same way she stopped a car. She just puts up a force wall. I don't think fire can cast through a force wall. But...
Honestly, I feel like if Charlie wanted to, she could just burn her. She could make her blood boil.
She probably could.
The boy in the beginning that she doesn't like who's on the phone with his girlfriend, she sets his leg on fire. Mm-hmm. She could just set Carrie on fire.
She could. And I think there are ways, in a sense, Carrie could hypothetically stop some of these attacks. However, as we pointed out, Carrie is not in the right mind. I don't think she is in control of her powers as much as Charlie is definitely in control of hers. I think 11 was a little more in control than Charlie is, but I think Charlie is still farther and more in control than Carrie is.
Charlie can also do everything Carrie can do and more. Charlie does have telekinesis.
That doesn't mean she is powerful to summon meteors. We never seen her do that, so we can't credit her with that.
No, but she can make fucking fireballs
like
out of nothing.
Said, fireball is a lot quicker of an attack than a meteor being summoned to Earth. I do think there is potential with Carrie. I think technically she could, but that doesn't mean she would. I think Charlie has the advantage here. Mostly because that mental domination and manipulation of what is happening. That would be very effective on Carrie.
Carrie is so fragile. Like, just making her think something's there that isn't, that's going to fuck with Carrie pretty bad.
I think, is Charlie's best weapon here. I think, like I said, hypothetically, I think Carrie could stop fireballs as much as she could start a car or anything else being thrown at her, but that mental domination will be such a distracting that she will be burning up on fire before she knows what's real.
I mean, think about it. Her mom should not have been able to kill her. Mm-hmm. Carrie is so much stronger than her middle-aged mother.
Yeah.
She's a teenage girl. She's physically stronger. She also has telekinesis. Mm-hmm. Her mom kills her because of the mental hold that she has over her. Because she convinces her that she's evil. Because all she wants is a hug from her mom. Mm-hmm. She is that vulnerable.
She is so desperate for love.
And even then, at the prom, she's so out of it. Like, in the book, it goes, she didn't mean to hurt, the teacher and stuff who was kind to her. She's just out of it. It's really sad. And it
kind of depends on your version of Charlie, but she's not, even though she loves her parents, she's not desperate like that for that type of love.
That's different because Charlie knows without a doubt that her father loves her.
Exactly.
She knows her dad would die for her.
She feels bad with her mom.
Even when Rainbird's trying to manipulate her, he couldn't tell her that your dad doesn't love you because she knows that without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. She is confident that her parents love her.
She has some issues with her mom.
Her parents would die for her.
She does have issues with her mom. But
she has guilt about her mom, but she knows that her mom loved her.
Yeah. But her mom issues are nothing compared to Carrie's.
Her parents have never tried to kill her.
Exactly.
And it's just sad
Nor would they
Carrie.
Want to. They'd both die. In fact, they kind of both do for her.
They both die trying to protect her.
Not killing her instead. So...
But even if Carrie was of sound mind, Charlie has more powers.
Yeah, but like I said, I think that is her biggest weakness, is that she has that mental domination over Carrie. Like, that's where Carrie's gonna fall for sure.
I think it's a really cool fight, though, and two awesome Stephen King women against each other is pretty cool.
If Carrie was a lot more sound of mind, this would be a lot closer of a fight, but that is the huge edge that she is not. Charlie would be able to manipulate that very easily.
In another universe, too, I also think, in a way, Charlie could be the one person who can actually help her.
She could. In another universe, like I think she could.
She could kind of help her.
But the point is
Carrie isn't going to overpower Charlie. Charlie's just got a lot more.
Not to be mean, but Carrie is crazy, and Charlie could manipulate that so easily. That is a huge detriment to her in this fight.
That's sad.
I think that Charlie has a little bit of better, like, more abilities, more diverse abilities. I think Carrie does have just as much of world-dominating, like, destructive powers, but they're slower, and she doesn't have control over them as much.
All right, my love, get your vote in, because I'm going to check in with the chat, and then we are calling it.
All right.
All right.
I'm giving the slight edge to Charlie McGee.
Dun, dun, dun. Danny stomped her. No offense. Don't worry. Guys, these are fun. It's fight night. We do not have to agree in the gory hole. Nobody ever said we have to agree in the gory hole.
Plus, I think I convinced
you just
her that
have
Danny
to be a
would
weirdo. Win. And you all are. And I'm a weirdo. And we're all happy here. Damn, we didn't see her get old enough to be a bomb. Carrie can tie her up with a lot of things. I want to say Charlie, but Carrie might take it. Teen versus kid. Charlie is a teenager, young adult in Firestarter Rekindled. So you can actually have that Charlie McGee go against Carrie, because we have seen it.
In the remake, she's somewhere in between.
Yeah, but she is a young woman. She's like in her late teens, early 20s in Firestarter Rekindled. She's played by the same girl who was the main protagonist in Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
I feel like Charlie's more in control of her powers than Carrie. Charlie is a mutant. X-Men vibes! Carrie can shoot Charlie's fire back at her. Possibly, but she can just shoot more.
She could, but I think that she would be like, even if she saw that, she wouldn't know what's real, because Charlie could get in her head and make her think she did that. But in real life, she's burning on fire.
Charlie doesn't have to shoot anything at her. She could just make her be on fire.
Yeah.
She can set her hair on fire. Like, I don't know how Carrie's going to respond to that. Like, Carrie wasn't able to stop the bucket of blood being dumped on her head. Charlie can just set her on fire. And she would just burn, because she'd panic.
Charlie's a little more ready for action than Carrie, obviously. And even Carrie, when she's losing her shit, like I said, Charlie would be able to manipulate that. She'd be like, oh, look, you killed me. Nah, you're on fire. That's just my thought here.
Mommy, try refreshing the page. Try refreshing it or leaving and then coming back in. Then you might see the vote. Sometimes that happens to me. I feel like the fight comes down to who would be more level-minded. Carrie loses her train of thought when she's raging, but she's raging. She's extremely... She is really powerful, but even at her most powerful, she's not as strong as Charlie. Like, Charlie is a little girl, but she's doing a lot of stuff. You know, she... God, didn't she make the people that came for her when she was at the old man and woman's house? Like, she made them think they were on fire or something, didn't she? She can control your mind and make you think things are happening that aren't even happening.
Plus, when they're like, you know, even in their suits, she still can kill them from being in a different room.
Exactly. No, but her mom is a huge weakness. Lois Lane could kill Superman, so I can't use that against her in this fight. Both human traits. I voted for Charlie, but it was a very close fight in my mind.
I think it is a close fight. I actually do think they both could end the world potentially.
Leave the chat and then come back.
Yeah, like click out of it.
Yeah, like close it.
Or just refresh the entire page.
Or refresh it and come back. Because it's still open, so you should be able to vote. Charlie's Angels versus Devil Spawn Carrie. For me, Carrie is much more interested character by fight. But in a fight, I think Charlie takes it due to being in control of her powers. I like Carrie, I think, maybe better as a character. I like them both. But it's not about who I like more. It's who I think is going to win in this fight. And I think Charlie's going to win.
I don't think all the Carrie movies are great, but definitely the newest Firestarter
movie
is
voted for
the
Charlie. All right, so everyone voted. We are calling it. Charlie McGee takes it. She is going to the semifinals. Oh my gosh, dude. Holy crap, that's another Stephen King fight in the semifinals.
Yeah.
So she's going to go and Sammy Torrance. You know who's going to win that one, right?
Ghosts.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
You can't light a ghost on fire.
Oh my... Just...
I don't know. We'll see when we get there. This other one's already got me all messed up.
This one I think is pretty easy. It's Brandon from Brightburn versus Sammy Kerr from Trick or Treat. So here's Brandon Breyer from Brightburn. And here is Sammy Kerr. I'm going to get that vote up. I feel like this one's kind of easy. What do you think?
I'm going to give it to Brandon. But, okay, so it's going to be weird. It's a weird fight because Brandon's not going to initially know you have to get rid of all the discs and records. But here's the thing. Brandon is an angsty little preteen. Sammy loves to try and convince angsty little, or teenagers, whatever, outcasts, people who have dark thoughts in their mind. That is exactly what Sammy Kerr goes to after. He's going to try to do the whole record backwards manipulation to Brandon from Brightburn. And if the kids in, Trick or Treat can figure it out, Brandon Breyer is very intelligent, as we said, especially for his age. He's high above his own, learning abilities. He's going to figure it out himself in the same scenario. He could break those records. And even as Sammy Kerr, in his ghost forms and whatever, I don't think he can really do anything to hurt Brandon.
I don't think his disintegration thing's going to do anything to Brandon.
I think it'll burn his clothes at most.
Maybe. I don't think he can hurt Brandon. I know Brandon can... I don't know. He's a ghost. But Brandon does have the ability to destroy some cassettes
and records. And I said if that one kid can figure it out, Brandon can figure it out. This is a little more... It would take some time, maybe. He'd probably why is this... Really? Is there a ghost talking to me in my head in these weird records? But, yeah. I mean, once he figures out that Sammy Kerr is trying to use him, he's not going to like it.
Yeah. I'm voting for Brandon. I feel like this is pretty easy.
I think it's a weird fight. I don't think it's...
It's weird. That's what's the fun about these, second and third rounds, though, because, you never would think of this.
I have to try and make a scenario in my head of how this plays. Brandon just walks in, and there's a record playing, and he hears that subliminal message, and at first he's intrigued. He's like, is this record talking to me? And eventually he's like, oh, really? You're talking to me? Yeah, I already know I'm special. You don't need to tell me that. Oh, I already got my revenge. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, you're using me and you're annoying me. I'm going to destroy these records. Don't do that. No, I'm going to do it.
I feel like the fight would take place before his ultimate battle. It would take place during the events of the movie, before he's killed his parents. So he's at home, and maybe he's listening to one of his dad's, metal records, and it's Sammy Kerr, and he hears the message. I think he'd be intrigued, but I don't think he would fall into the manipulation.
Plus, there's nothing Sammy can do to hurt him. And Brandon is a sociopath, so you can't even, say, oh, well, he would use his parents against... Brandon kills his own parents. There's nothing... He has no, vulnerability when it comes to family or friends or anything.
The only way to hurt Brandon is with a piece of shit. There's no way Sammy's going to get that one. He has to travel through electricity. I don't think there's any electricity in that barn.
Now... The only thing I can hypothetically say about this, and this is a stretch of hypotheticalness, is Superman is prone to be subjectical to magic. Magic does actually work on Superman pretty well. Sammy has got demonic magic. Maybe it could hurt Brandon. Maybe his demonic magic would be effective on him. But I have no indication other than that Brandon is loosely based on Superman that it would.
I feel like this is a squash match. I'm sorry.
I
love Sammy, but I'm surprised. I would be surprised if Sammy could hurt Brandon.
At the end of Brightburn, they let you know that there is kind of a Justice League scenario. Evil Justice League scenario in his world. It also takes place in the same scenario as, Super, where the guy has a wrench, and he goes around just, it's Dwight from The Office, and he goes around bashing people's heads in with a wrench, because... He feels like he's a vigilante and he can, and Kevin Bacon's stolen his wife. But...
You're confusing them now.
I know. I'm just saying, there's 2 movies in the Brightburn universe, is all I'm saying. But until they give me a new movie that says that Brandon can be hurt by magic in any way, I'm just going to have to go with him. He's
almost more like an insect as far as his brain goes. He's really smart, but I don't think things like metal and stuff is just going to... I don't think he's going to kill him. I think it's a cool fight, though. It's really cool. I'm going to check in with the chat, and then as soon as I'm done reading your comments, I'm going to close it. Carrie is much more fragile. Charlie has more innocence on her side. The Stephen King kill battle is nice. I agree, Cal-L. By the way, thank you for checking out the videos. It's nice to see you here. Y'all need to help Sammy laugh out loud. I think it would be cool if Sammy won. I'm not mad about it, but it looks like Brandon's got this one. and I am calling it. Brandon is going into the finals. Well done, Brandon.
In a sense, I wanted to vote for Sammy. I can't logically do so until there's any type of reason where I can think, like, I'm hoping there's a sequel. I really want another Brightburn movie or another movie where Brandon's in it. I want another movie. They teased that there could be. Like, that's what James Gunn and the whole Gunn family have kind of teased, that they might do more. But until we get that, I just can't vote against him on this because I don't think Sammy's Electric
Is James
Ash.
Gunn involved in Brightburn?
He produced it, and his brother and cousin wrote it and directed it.
That's cool. All right, so final fight. Rest in peace, Sammy. You put up a good fight. It's another Stephen King battle to get to the finals.
Didn't James Gunn direct Super?
He did.
Yeah.
I think so.
This is in the same universe. His brother and cousin wrote and directed this one. He produced it.
That's cool. Hey, hit that power button.
What am I hitting?
The bottom button on that fan.
Oh.
Because it's super
man.
hot.
Sorry. I thought you were
No. Hit the button above it. Oh, there you go, brah. I didn't know it was already on. Okay, my love. It's now Danny Torrance, dun dun dun, versus Charlie. So we're going to use adult Charlie in this just because I don't want Danny to kill a 6-year-old. She is an adult in Firestarter Rekindled.
I want him. As long as it's the remake. Then I guess it's a 10-year-old.
Granted, she kills lots of adults. Like, Charlie don't give a fuck.
Alright, so the only thing I'm going to say that Danny has going for him is he could talk to her from a distance where she probably couldn't.
Remember, these are not from a distance fights, though.
Talk to her is what I said. And he could do that. He could try and calm her down, and she wouldn't. She's like, no, I'm coming for you, dude. You're going to burn. And
I'm coming for you, dude. I can picture that, and it's hilarious.
But once again, I would say Danny is a little bit better of a strategist. However, I don't think his strategy is going to work here.
I don't think he's got a prayer.
I think best case scenario, she gets close enough to where she's going to kill him. He does unleash the ghost, and she can't burn ghosts, and the ghost might actually get her. But
she can burn him, though.
Exactly. Once she's close enough, his best case scenario is a double death.
Okay, let me put it this way. Danny was killed in the movie because the boiler in the Overlook Hotel overheated and it blew up. So ultimately, he was killed by fire. Mm-hmm. That stopped the ghost. That stopped everything.
In the book, the boiler room blew up because his dad already did that, and he lives.
Exactly.
But
going off of the movie, we're just going to say there is a scenario where he's killed by fire.
I know. And I don't think that
he has a mortal, squishy body.
I don't think his shining can stop her fire by any means.
She's seen a lot of weird shit. She's been exposed to the people at the shop. She's been exposed to hallucinations. I don't think ghosts are going to upset her the way they would upset some other people in this tournament.
Well, like I said, best case scenario, the ghosts do kill her, but at that point, Danny's already a crisp.
She has Malcolm McDowell, like, come after her, and she kisses him, and he, like, disintegrates.
I don't think she can burn ghosts, though.
She can't, but she can burn him, and that's all she needs to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Conduit.
And that's what I'm saying. I give her the edge, because his best case scenario is they both die. Her best case scenario is she fries him before he can even unleash ghosts, which is very possible.
Exactly. Here's the other thing. He not only keeps the ghost in his mind, but he's afraid of them.
Yeah.
She could easily fuck with him.
They follow him around, too, because they know he has the shine.
She doesn't have to have real ghosts.
Though in her universe, or Stephen King universe, they would be attracted to her shine. If he unleashed them all before she burned him up, I think they could get her. However, it doesn't matter. She's going to kill Danny regardless. So a best case scenario I see is Danny gets a double KO in this. Her best case scenario is that she just wins. That's why I'm voting for her. She could also
make him think that there's, like, ghosts and stuff coming for him. Maybe. She could also make him think that she's already dead, so he puts the ghosts away.
But I don't think she would know about ghosts to make them think that.
No, but she would know about Danny. She can make herself appear dead so Danny doesn't attack her. She had worked on Rainbird.
She could make herself look weaker and vulnerable than she is, but like I said, his best case scenario, I think they both die. Her best case scenario, which is half the time, is she's going to live and he's going to die. So I have to vote for her.
And Mummy, in Firestarter Rekindled, she is not trusting at all.
Oh, no.
She kills Malcolm McDowell by kissing him. She is definitely a smarter girl by Firestarter Rekindled.
And she's a little more of a sociopath in the remake, too. I don't like that movie, but I'm still going to reference it.
I'm going to find a picture of Firestarter Rekindled so you guys can see an older Charlie. If you haven't seen it, it is on Shudder. so you can watch it. I watched it back on, like, I think Sci-Fi back in the day. But that movie's a trip, guys. It's weird. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a weird movie. Let's see. Dun 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 dun. So here is a picture of Charlie when she's a little bit older. A little bit older, Charlie. A little bit wiser. Uh-oh. There we go. So, yeah, that's her in the sequel, which does count. Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Sleep counts. That's why Carissa
Yeah.
counts.
So she's older, she's wiser, she's a lot more in control of her powers. She deals with some weird shit. I honestly think she's got this. I do think Danny is a force, and it's not one to be taken lightly. I think he can put up a good fight, but ultimately I just think she's way more powerful than him.
Like I said,
at best, he could take them both out.
That's what I'm saying. His best case scenario is those ghosts. Because the ghosts, if they are released in time, they're going to go towards her real quick because she's got that shine in that universe. They're going to love that, and she ain't going to be able to really do anything against ghosts. But it doesn't matter because Danny's already dead. She's going to light him on fire, and there's nothing he can do about it.
All right, so...
And as we've seen, people who use rifles on her, she can manipulate to think that you shot her when you didn't actually shoot her.
So, Cal says Danny beat Rose, and Rose might beat Charlie, so Danny, I think she could beat Rose, too.
They are... Rose and the Knot are vampires, and I do think they are susceptible to fire. Like, I think she could burn them up.
I think she could.
But they would try to eat her.
I think she'd have an easier time taking them out than Danny did.
I agree. I'm not saying that there's a scenario where they could get her, too, but I just think she's had people try to conspiracize against her, and I think...
All right, I'm calling it. You ready? Count it down for me from 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2... Charlie's your winner, it looks like, right?
Yep, Charlie is the winner! Dun, 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 dun. We need better music.
I do think that the ghost power would be highly effective on her, but the fire powers is super effective on Danny, and it's quicker.
It is.
Like I said, if he releases the ghost, they're going to go to her like a moth to the flame, moths that can't be hurt by.
Like a moth to a flame.
Moth to the flames is how they're going to go to her, but that flame ain't going to work on these moths. They're actually going to consume said flame. I'm shedding
hair.
And I think a lot of like I said, if they fought 100 times, I think a lot of those times that would happen. But I still think almost every damn time Danny dies. Almost every time.
Brandon Wayne Lewis is here. Hey, dude. Wow, we're here. We're here. We're at the finals, Dan. Let's see. When did we start? 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right.
Freaking 3.5 hours. I thought this was going to be a short one.
I do hate to say it, though, but this is one of those things where I think I already know who, in my mind, wins.
I'm going to get her started for you.
All right, who do we got in the finals here?
We got, well, you know who we got. You tell them.
It's the finals. Give us one last time.
You do it.
All right. In the black corner, we got the burning-ass Brightburn himself, Brandon... What's his last name?
Breyer.
Breyer.
Like ice cream.
Oh, yeah, Breyer's ice cream. I always think about that, but I forget.
Ice cream. I want ice cream.
Like, I know it's not Brightburn, but in my mind, it's somehow always Brightburn.
Like Brandon Brightburn.
In my mind. I know it's not true, but that's just how I remember it. Alright, so we got Brandon Bryan. He was basically little mini Superman. He's pissed off. He's got no conscience. He don't give a shit.
He's a sociopath.
The only person he hesitated to really kill was his mom, and everybody else is just paper. Like Superman said himself, it's like living in a world of cardboard, and you gotta hold yourself back. Brandon don't hold back. He's Homelander. He does not give a shit. And then the other...
He's like Superman in Injustice. Granted, I still don't think he's quite as powered as Superman.
No, probably not.
But I think the
Homelander isn't either.
The closest comparison would be Ryan, who's Homelander's son. I would say.
I think Homelander's son has a little more of a conscience than Brian.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as far as powers go.
I'm gonna just say Homelander in general because he's more. The way that Boys season ended, we might get ourselves a Brandon in that version because
maybe
it looks like he chose his dad.
I like that Charlie's getting some votes.
But here in the red corner, we got Charlie McGee, not to be confused with Bobby McGee, and who Janis Joplin was singing about. Best version, Drew Barrymore, but there's other versions of her. She's great. She'll burn your ass. She don't take no shit from nobody. You're nothing but charred dog duty when she's done with you.
Ew. That's stinky.
It is. Though, I hate to say it, I don't think fire is going to work on Brandon.
I don't think so either.
This is where I do think...
And I've been a firm supporter of Charlie through this whole thing, but I think this is where she gets off.
Yeah, sadly. I think, like I said, hypothetically, magic might have worked on Brandon. I don't know. But since I don't know, I had to vote for him when it came to Sammy. I think Swamp Thing... Actually, I did vote for Swamp Thing.
I thought Swamp Thing would have beat him.
I think he is the only person on this roster that really had a really good chance. But I do see that Brandon could win him too. In a certain way of looking at it, I do think Brandon could beat Swamp Thing as well. I'm not saying anybody's wrong.
To a KO.
To a KO, I think it's possible. So, I'm not saying Brandon doesn't deserve to be here. And Charlie, she's fought her well, and she's earned every victory she's had up to this point. But I do think... if Charlie could survive Carrie and Ghost and all that stuff, she's not going to fight Superman and win. She's nothing she can do.
Charlie's had close fights with Carrie and Danny. She's out of her league with Brandon.
I think that just nothing she can do will work. She can use telekinesis. She can use fire. But it's just not. It's like she's putting glass walls that Danny will punch through.
Her best bet would be the mind control. I don't know if that would work on him, but say hypothetically it does. Mm-hmm. Even then, that will keep him from attacking her. That won't kill him. No. She needs to be able to kill him. Mm-hmm. So even if we set the fight at his farm, so she's nearby the ship, mm-hmm. she still has to get to it, get a piece of it, and stab him. That's not her power. I mean, she could throw it at him with telekinesis, but she'd also have to figure it out first.
I think, very hypothetically... she could mind dominate him enough.
Well, she's telepathic. She can use that to figure out his shit.
And use the whole, look, you're killing me, and it's close enough to stab him. But I don't think that scenario would play out that many times if they fought 100 times.
Here's the thing.
I think most of the time,
right.
Brandon
I'm kind of changing my mind. Because she has telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually has a bonus here. She has telepathy and premonitions. Mm-hmm. There is a good chance she's one of the only people he's gone against who would know what hurts him. She still has to get to the ship and get a piece of it. Now, she can use her telekinesis to shoot it at him. The thing is, can she survive getting to the ship and getting to him? Once she has it, she's fine. She can shoot it with telekinesis.
He's faster, though.
But
he can dodge
he is
really
so
quick.
much faster than her. I think he's going to kill her before she gets to it.
He's even faster than her telekinesis. I don't think she could shoot it at him fast enough to hit him every time.
I actually think she is a better match for him than a couple of people he's fought. But
yeah.
I think he's going to kill her.
And
I think it's close, but I think he's going to kill her.
I also say, in your scenario, you put her whether in the barn or the ship. And okay, fair enough, but that is also very subjectical, like in the substance.
Subjectical?
It's very plot heavy on her favor that way. I think in so many different scenarios, she has no different chance. Like, she has no chance at all.
Well, we've had all his fights there.
And I'm going to say it's fine, but I still think he has the edge. She has to, like you said, do that, all that stuff. That is a lot of ifs and a lot of get by this, a lot of get by that. Where for him, she is completely the underdog in this fight, and I can't vote for her as the underdog to win this.
I think ultimately she can use telepathy to find out what would kill him, and I think she can actually create a scenario where he thinks he's doing something that he's not to get her a few seconds. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she can hold him that way for forever. No. Ultimately, she's going to have to break it to run to get to the ship. And this is if we have it at the farm where it's nearby. Mm-hmm. He's too fast. He's going to kill her.
There's just too many what-ifs in that scenario and too much relying on luck.
All right.
Are you
going to vote?
Yeah, I have to vote Brandon because so many scenarios do not rely on luck and what-ifs.
He can easily kill her. She's mortal. She's got powers. But
you would have to write the plot to help her win this.
A lot of stuff he has isn't going to hurt her. Like, I don't think the heat vision's going to hurt her. She doesn't seem to be burned. But he can rip her in half.
He is faster than she can run.
He's super strong. She's not.
I don't think that mind control would work more than once. I think once he figures out that she does that, look at his eyes. I think he can see through that shit. He has x-ray vision probably. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to read the chat and then we're going to call it. And that is it. Zod still beats Charlie. Brandon should be red corner, don't you think? Maybe. I don't know. I'd pick the corners. Billy and Stu got Big Charlie out here. She don't want it with Brando. She could melt the ship into liquid and throw it on him?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Like I said, I do think there are scenarios where she could win, but those scenarios rely a lot on what ifs and luck. Where his scenario is pretty much he just beats her.
It's like the Avengers Infinity War thing, where he's like, there's one
way we can beat Thanos.
I think there's one or two where Charlie wins, but the odds are in his favor.
I think if they fight 100 times, he's going to win probably 85.
To quote his mom in a different movie.
I would give him an 85% chance of winning, and that means I have to vote for him.
Brandon, for me, he has super speed. He could kill her in seconds. Damn, it's like that with Brandon. Wow, she's older than him. There's that. You underestimate the power of hormones. Knowing she's the underdog, she can play that against him. Maybe. That's Mr. Beefy, by the way.
Huh?
It's our boy, Mr. Beefy.
Bob Beefy.
I'm so excited that we're going to go on a trip with him and Becky soon.
That's going to be a fun trip.
Yes. He wants to kill her after she denied him a date. He killed another girl for doing the same thing.
Well, it's implied.
Well, he didn't kill her.
He didn't kill her, but then again...
He did kill her mom.
Yeah, he killed her mom because her mom was like, ew, stay away from my daughter.
Yeah.
And we know what his intentions were with this girl. After he kills his parents and basically covers everything up with a plane crash, it's kind of implied that he probably went and did whatever he wanted to do.
Oh, gross.
Because at that point, he's just unleashed. And I'm sure there's nothing stopping him
I'm
at
reading
that point.
this last comment, and I'm calling it. Brandon doesn't even know that his ship can kill him, so she couldn't read his mind. That is a great point, Rich. That is a fantastic point, because he doesn't know. His mom figures it out.
Oh, he knows, because he cuts his hand on it. And then he knows his mom tried to kill him with it. He catches her by the arm and says, oh, what did you try to do, Mom? And then he kills her.
I guess you're right.
He does know. He actually does know.
All right.
He might have even destroyed his ship after that. He might have taken his ship and thrown it into space.
Yikes.
I would have. If I knew that was the only thing that could kill me, I'd probably get rid of it.
Well, I said I'm calling it, and I am calling it. Brandon takes the tournament home.
See, when we first threw these on there, I was actually thinking, okay, Brandon's probably going to win this. But then I looked through it, and I was like, nah, Swamp Thing's probably going to win this. But nope, Brandon wins.
I thought Swamp Thing was going to win this, but I think Brandon was one of the other people who I thought had a great chance.
When we first made it, I thought Brandon, but then I thought, okay, no, Swamp Thing.
I also thought Alice had a good chance.
I think Alice would have had a great chance against almost everybody other than Brandon. That's just my thought. When I saw that she was in the first round with her, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm voting Brandon, which I did. But I think Alice could have really held her own with most of these people on this list.
All right, so you guys know what that means. Brandon is going into our ultimate showdown. So we got 3 more of these showdowns. And then there's the ultimate showdown, who is the winner of each card.
Where he might go up against the Winchesters, or Cthulhu, or Krampus.
Satan.
Satan, Krampus, Cthulhu. There's a lot of people Brandon might fight.
So that's pretty exciting. But let's find out who we got next week. Are you ready for it? Hair is like blowing my face.
Go back and forth on this. Yo.
Okay, so next week we have got vampires. I know.
Vampires.
Patrick from Half Cheeto Review is so excited, and Martin probably is too.
This one's really gonna suck, but it's gonna be awesome. We got.
Oh, we should get some wine for next week. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got the king of the vampires himself. You know his name. He is Lord Dracula.
He's gonna be going against Alucard from Hellsing, the anime.
We also have the knockoff, awesome, still cool version, Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
Who'll be going against a similar-looking vampire, Barlow from Salem's Lot.
We got Jerry from Fright Night. He is a dreamboat,
so
right?
Hot. So
Hotter
sexy.
than Edward, huh?
I might have to get video clips for them next week.
Who's Jerry going up against?
He's going against Barnabas from Dark Shadows. Severin,
yes, sorry, from Near Dark. I love that movie, by the way.
Badass crispy critter, Bill Paxton in one of his best roles ever, going against David from The Lost Boys.
Didn't those movies come out around the exact same time?
They came out the exact same year. In fact, Jason Patrick is in Lost Boys, and his half-brother, I can't remember his name, his half-brother played Homer in Near Dark.
So this is going to, despite that, this will decide who the 80s vampires truly, which one was the best.
They kind of had a competition of putting themselves, and Lost Boys did win.
Exactly. But let's see who wins the fight.
Who wins the fight? Who wins the fight? I don't know.
We got Old Dude Vampire from True Blood.
Old Dude Vampire.
Hashtag Team Old Dude Vampire.
I need to have video clips for next week, don't you think? I need to do it.
And speaking of Old Dude Vampires, who's he against?
Grandpa Monster!
Which, hey, there's a new movie coming out. I kind of want to see the new movie, but oh well.
Oh, I love this next one.
For the fight.
I might change these around a bit. Sometimes I do, but the fighters will remain the same.
We've got the lovely Nadja from What We Do in the Shadows.
I love her so much.
She is like the more no-nonsense, I'll kill you vampire out of the group.
But I was surprised in the last episode how tolerant she was.
I didn't think she cared enough about Guillermo to do that, but...
I was like, okay, I was surprised.
She explained why, though. Her whole family was killed in front of her, and that's probably why she held back.
Yeah, I think she's got a softer heart than she lets on.
Yeah, but she also has a cool little evil doll version of herself, too.
Oh, I love it.
And I think that counts.
The doll gets to be part of it.
It does.
Definitely.
I think that counts.
Yes, I love that we agree on this.
It is her. She can use herself.
So Nadja is going against Lestat from the Vampire Chronicles.
The original shiny vampire, right? And we got Radu from Subspecies. Oh, he's a killing bastard. And
against Angel from Buffy.
Ooh.
How?
Why not Spike? Oh well. Anyways,
Spike didn't make the cut.
We've got the badass Celine from Underworld,
who's basically the Alice of vampires who kick ass, going against the other great vampire that hunts other vampires, as she does in later movies.
Half vampire.
Blade, the Dampier, the Daywalker himself. He's badass, who's getting a new movie.
He's got like all their abilities, but none of their weaknesses. He is Blade, and he's a badass motherfucker. We definitely need to do, when you start doing dream fights, Celine versus Alice. That'd be good.
Oh, I want to see that. I want to see that in dream fights.
All right, well, tune in next week and prepare to suck your blood.
It's gonna be so good. Are you excited?
I'm gonna wear my vampire onesie.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know what I'm gonna wear. There's so many great ones. I have a Lost Boys shirt I might wear. I don't know. I don't want to commit to it just yet. Okay, let's check on the chat. I'm so thankful that there are so many of you who are watching, because we have a great time doing this show, and we just love that you guys want to argue with us about movies. It's a good time.
It's weird because slashers pretty close together, like werewolves and vampires pretty close together, but this one, Supes, they're so varied in their abilities. There was a lot of people with telekinesis, but other than that, they're very different type of Supes out there. So,
and I think, let me double check. Yeah, next week we have one next week, and then I think we have a 2-week break because that's when we're going out to California.
Mm-hmm.
So please be here for next week for Vampires. It's going to be super fun, and I don't want you guys to miss it. And then we're going to go out of town with Becky and Mr. Beefy. Cal L says, we help Charlie, but Superman is king. He's not Superman, though.
He is in this universe. He thinks he is.
Devin, thank you so much for watching. It's awesome that my brother watches this. It's awesome that my family supports me. My mom, my brother Zigma, and my brother Devin. I'm very, very lucky.
Thanks, fam.
The Winchester Wood, Sam and Dean beat everyone. They are in the final showdown. Tatum says, I love my Sundays with Gory and Danny in the beautiful chat. We love hanging out with you too. Technically, Alucard is supposed to be Dracula. It's the one from Helsing, though. So it's a little different.
Alucard is Dracula backwards.
It is. He made it into the finals.
Even if you're going by, I believe if you're going by Castlevania, Alucard is his son.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I hope you got Max from Vampire in Brooklyn and Salma Hayek from Dust Till Dawn. They were considered. If I take anybody off, because sometimes I do, when I actually do the research, sometimes I'm just like, that's not a good match. We'll see. So far, I think this is pretty good, though.
Do not take out Twilight Sparkle.
That's for witches.
I know, but she's done that before.
Near Dark Vamp, Joshua Jackson, Vamp Hot. Good night, everyone. Get up early. Great stream. I met Guillermo last weekend. Yeah, I didn't get to meet him because I was there for LOLZ and people he wanted to meet, but I saw him.
You looked at his general direction and said, that is Guillermo, a.k.a. Gizmo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really spoil anything. Just, not just great.
catch up.
Blade, woohoo! Good night, Gory Dan. Good night, Becky. Excellent stream. Looking forward to next week. Everyone, please comment after the replay. That does help. Thank you. And good night, Mommy. We love you.
Make sure to give this stream a thumbs up.
And
My wife
Helsing
deserved it.
Alucard is Dracula. Torchbearer, you make a good point. When I do the research, if I think that they're just the same, maybe I'll replace him. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Like I
hey,
said,
Ben Grimm's here.
You
What's
can go
up?
for his son in the Castlevania version, though.
I might. I
that is
mean,
a different
sometimes I
avatar.
do. I got rid of the kid, Anthony, because I thought he was too overpowered for this one. So, you know, if I'm doing the research, if it just looks like it's the same guy, maybe I'll replace him. Who knows?
Yeah, it depends on their abilities and just their personalities and whatnot.
We'll take a look at it.
We'll look into it.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm exhausted.
I think once Brandon Breyer, like, I voted for Swamp Thing, but once he squeaked by Swamp Thing, I kind of saw him winning this. But I'm so very impressed with my boy Danny Torrance. I didn't know if he was even getting past the first round.
Ass. I thought we should get rid of him and replace him with Abra because I didn't think he could hold his own.
I think he can.
Just proves the
I think he
power-
could, but I didn't know he was going to get as far as
The
he did.
power of Danny's. By the way, guys, I'm trying to get to 4,000 watch hours. I got a little over 3,000. So if you want to, in your busy day, watch one of my videos, it's awesome. You don't have to. If you do, though, it's cool. All right, guys. Danny, you can tell them where they can find you. What's going on with you?
I'm on Horror Addicts. We will hopefully have a BAM unboxing soon. I also want to do a review for Bodies.
That was good. I enjoyed it. And I've been Gory Big Movie. You've been the Gory Hole. You've been awesome. I hope to see you on Wednesday. Wednesday? No, on Friday. My bad. On Friday will be my next stream. I'll be doing Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 with Drum Dums, Killjoy Jake. I'm not sure if I remember who the other one is off the top of my head. Oh, Almost Sideways. On Friday at 7 Pacific Standard Time. And of course, I'll be back here next Sunday for another
Same Gory
Fight
channel,
night.
same Gory time.
Vampires, same
Yep.
Gory time, same Gory channel. And until we meet again, blessed be.